Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. We're here in New York City, and we have invaded the Sound Collective. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We got Jamie the Great.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to DJ Never. Shout to Never, Never Forever. He's always with us. We got our favorite co-host, BK's finest in the building, DJ Goldfinger.
Yo, what up?
One of my favorite, one of the nicest club DJs in the building. This is actually the first time we've ever done this where we collab with another podcast.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm kind of wondering how we got here, but we somehow got here.
We got here.
And we made it here somehow.
We made it to the radar.
Yeah, we somehow made it on the radar, and it was just an organic love of hip-hop and music and a lot of New York.
Yep.
You know, it's like a lot of New York bonding in this shit. Mm-hmm. So we're really happy to have him here. We got from the KFC Radio, Kevin Clancey from Barstool Sports in the building. Thank you for coming through, sir.
It's an honor, man.
What's up, man?
Thank you for having me.
Long time coming.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah. No, I'm very happy to be here. I'm probably a little bit of a different type of guest from what maybe the R.O.A.D listeners are used to, but never DJ'd or anything like that. But been podcasting for a long time now.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Been doing the internet thing for 15 years. Been doing the podcast for about 12 now.
I mean, you're like a master content creator.
Yes.
Thank you, man. I try.
Yeah, no,
I try to
for
keep
real,
up.
like,
1 minute, man.
Yeah. That's what they call me. The ultimate. I am the ultimate pause. My series on Instagram is 1 minute, man, because I deliver this news topics in 60 seconds or less.
Yeah.
So I'm just constantly pausing myself. So.
I love seeing like your takes on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I look forward to it. It's real funny.
It's funny. It's like when we started out, we used to just write. We were blogging.
Yeah.
And then obviously new forms and mediums evolve, and so I just took literally what I used to write, and I just take out the phone, cram it into 60 seconds, and let it rip. So
Jamie is like a big Barstool's.
Yep.
Sports
Jamie's
fan.
Saturday for the boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you launched like a Barstool is from Boston, but you launched the first New York.
Yeah. So Dave Portnoy created Barstool Sports, which initially was like a free newspaper you get like when AM or Metro when you go on the subway in New York, like a handout. They had that in Boston, and then around 2004, one of his this guy Dave worked so hard, but he also got so lucky in so many ways. One of his listeners or one of his readers happened to just be a brilliant coder, computer designer guy, and was like, "You got to get on the internet. I'll just set your website up for free."
Wow.
This guy goes on to make like tens of millions himself by, doing all this computer coding, and basically got a website built for him for free from like this brilliant genius. So then it got online, and it was just every day he would post sports, funny stories, local girls, local parties, all that shit. And then I got out of school in 2007, and I was an accountant, actually. I was going down the finance path. I had no...
And you're from New York.
From New York, yeah.
You're
Born in the Bronx and City Island.
Yeah.
Went to school... Fordham. So I was like
Fordham, wow.
New York through and through.
Yeah.
And then all my friends, all the guys I hung out with were all kind of becoming like bankers and all this shit. And I was like, I don't know, I'll just go where the money is,
Right.
So I start accounting, doing like this financial accounting, and I was so bad at it, and I hated it so much. And it also the type of work I did was directly tied to what made the economy crash in like 2008, 2009.
So you're responsible.
honestly, like literally my job was to make sure that there were no mistakes in these big investments. And there was like a lot of mistakes in them. And I was like, did I just like crash the economy?
Wow.
But so as I was there every day, just like, mindless cube monkey work, I started to read Barstool for fun.
Yeah.
And then by chance, I started my own website that was very similar to his just for fun. I was like, I just need a real creative outlet.
Right.
I'm just going to kind of fuck around. It was very similar to Barstool, but it also had like a 90s nostalgia throwback. Remember this from our childhood, that from our childhood. And then just by chance, like 7 months, 8 months after I was doing that, he said, I'm looking to expand into new cities. New York is our biggest market outside of Boston, so I want to go to New York. And I sent him a link to my website, and he was like, actually, somebody's already sent this to me.
Oh, wow.
To take a look at, so I could keep an eye on you. And that's when I was like, oh, shit, this is actually real.
You never know.
Yeah. And at that time, man, like I just got out of school. I had my MBA. It was good money. It was benefits. Like it was a lot to give up at that point. So for a little while, I did both jobs. And I had this little alter ego thing going on. It was like, Walter White and Heisenberg, or Bruce Wayne and Batman. So like none of the accounting people knew I was blogging, and none of the blog readers knew that I was an accountant. So I did that for like 2 years, and then finally went full time in like 2011, maybe, whatever it was.
And you launched that in 2009, right?
Yeah. So Barstool New York was 09.
You've been doing this since 2009.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
15 years.
Anybody ever have a hint that it was you? Like,
so one dude I worked with who was cool. One day he caught me looking over my shoulder. He looked over my shoulder and saw what I was doing, and he was like, "What is that?" And I said, "Yo, let's go to lunch real quick. I gotta talk to you about some things." But then it's funny, every now and then I'll get hit up by someone who worked there, because I still reference them and I talk about that life a little bit, and I'll be like, "Man, I fucking hated that job," and they'll be like, "Yo, was it that bad?"
I'm applying there.
but you're doing podcasts now for like over 10 years though. Like,
yeah,
like KFC Radio. KFC Radio's been like it's one of the 12. First podcasts that Barstool launched, right?
It was the first one.
It was
the first podcast Barstool launched. It's one of the first, ones, period. I mean, podcast has been around a minute with, Combat Jack and Joe Rogan and the Nerdist guys, but Bill Simmons. But like aside from that, I think, we were pretty damn early. And it was funny. It was just me at the time. My brother, older brother, he's very into, he had a job in real estate, but he was very into like tech and keeping up with the trends and stuff. He said, "You gotta do a podcast." And I was like, I got no co-hosts, I can't take calls, I can't, like, what do you want me to do?
Right.
And then I remember him telling me Google rolled out Google Voice, where you could call in and just leave a voicemail. And I was like, that's it, because now I don't have to do live calls, but I can play, my fans can call in and leave a message.
Right.
So I just did a one-man show for a couple months, added my co-host Feidelberg. We added a third guy. If you're a Barstool fan, you know Big Cat. He did it for a couple years before he went off to, rocket ship with Pardon My Take. So now it's just me and my boy Feidelberg. Been doing it for, 12 years now.
Wow.
That's
crazy.
What's up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I like to, I put that one on the resume that I called it with podcasts, because at the time we were just writing and blogging, and I remember telling Dave I'm going to do this podcast, and he was like, yeah, go have fun with your little like pet project.
Now that's one of his biggest things.
Yep. Now we're like basically a podcast network. So
hey, what's good? This is the R.O.A.D podcast, Reflections of a DJ. We're here in New York City, and we have invaded the Sound Collective. Now I want to explain what the Sound Collective is. I got my man Lefty from the Sound Collective here. Lefty, thank you for having us and hosting this beautiful studio for us. Exactly what is the Sound Collective here in New York?
Modern, state-of-the-art facility with tons of production gear. And one side of it is you can be a member and you can come here and pay monthly to use the rooms and the gear and sign out time in our space. We have a state-of-the-art studio. We have all these production stations, DJ stations, instrument practicing rooms and such like that.
And you also like teach. You have like classes and sessions, right?
We have intensive programs, short-term programs that people can come and take Saturday classes on DJing, production.
There's like kind of a community building within where there's like DJs, producers, musicians.
Up and coming producers, people honing their craft and learning, and DJs and all these things. And they come here and practice, and we have all the new gear, so they come and check that out and get familiar. And a lot of DJs will come in from out of town being like, let me get a day pass so I can just get a refresh on the 3000s and the V10.
And what's great is that a lot of our guests, everyone from like Clark Kent to the technician to like Camilo, they come in here and they're just like, holy shit.
You want to play with all the gear, man? Yeah.
I didn't even realize this, but you guys have like studio spaces where people can do live streams and they can do their Twitch streams.
Yep. We got a whole green screen set up already, multicam, full on switcher. Like, we also do a lot of events here. We're bringing a lot of outside talent, organizations. We got a big event coming up with DJ City, Beat Source, and Serato.
That's part of our family.
Yeah. We did a big one last year with them. We got another one coming up.
For our listeners, is there any way we could hook them up with a deal, or, like if they put in a R.O.A.D podcast code?
Yeah. Tell me about it. What else do you have in vision for this deal? It sounds like we're well on our way. Why don't you tell them?
You're working with us where they can type in a code for like R.O.A.D.
Yep.
And they'll get a month free, right?
Yeah, on our online platform. We have a whole online platform with like masterclass style education.
Nice.
Different categories and everything, instruments, drums. And then we have these things that we're launching right now called Pro Paths. So you can choose, like if you're a producer, you can take the Ableton Pro Path, the Logic Pro Path, Serato Studio. Goes through a wide variety of knowledge besides just stuff in that skill set and discipline.
So our R.O.A.D listeners, if you're in New York, you can check out their facility. You can do a day pass, a week pass, a monthly pass. You can check out their site. You have access to all the education online.
Soundcollective.com. We also have a YouTube channel that has some of our content from the educational courses, and all of our events are live streamed and put up there.
I hope we can come back here and use your facilities again.
Looking forward to it.
Shout to Lefty and the Sound Collective. Thank you so much. How did you stumble on to our podcast?
So Jerry Ferrara put me onto Jamie.
Yeah.
I remember.
Jerry Ferrara from Entourage?
Turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, how do you
Power.
know him?
Sneakers.
Yeah, well, so I was
From Riff.
Yeah.
I went through a phase when I finally got a little bit of money.
Right.
I went back and I bought all the sneakers that I could never afford.
Right.
My mom wouldn't get me.
Everyone
all the
does
Jordan.
that.
Yeah, right. So
Everyone does that.
at that point, I was heavy into it, just buying, every pair in the world for whatever fucking reason. And Turtle's a big sneakerhead, so I did a little bit of content with him about sneakers, and he told me about how Jamie can sniff sneakers and tell you what they are, which is still the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Bro.
There's a
I don't know
video
how
out there.
you do that.
Well, it's just a distinct smell, like the glue. You know what I mean?
Bro, this man, I've seen that video. That you can do Yeezys, you can do ones, you can do 11s, 12s,
Yeah.
but they tried to trick him. He did the 350s once, and then he came back again, and Jamie's like, "Nah, you're trying to trick me. That's the 350s again."
I said that's the same one.
This
Fucking
man knows
crazy.
he can tell sneakers by smelling them.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I did that because, I worked there fucking 7 days a week, so you gotta smell them to make sure. Because sometimes the fake ones just smell like hot glue.
Yeah.
So you smell it, and it has a distinct smell.
But it's
Wow.
not any shoe. It's got
no,
right. Okay,
like
certain
1s,
ones.
3s, 4s, 11s. The
Crazy.
Yeezys at the time they had this weird smell to them.
He knew,
I
man.
have this like new respect for you.
Appreciation, right?
It's crazy.
I have this new respect for you now.
I'm a good
talented.
sniffer.
Dude, it's the video I seen is the one you're just holding a T-shirt over your eyes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very funny. He's just
That-
holding a T-shirt going,
Well,
Those are ones.
that
350s.
So that video got to the producers at Ellen, and then Ellen did a shoe segment with Jerry Ferrara, and then he ended up at the sneaker store, and then that's how we just started talking WWE wrestling, and then we became buds.
I thought you were about to tell me you were on Ellen. I was like, is Jamie been
That
on
was-
Ellen?
should have been on Ellen.
Yeah.
It is. There's a clip of Ellen got there, and then we did a whole clip with some kids and shit like that. But it was me, the sneaker guru, quote unquote, and then the superstar was Jerry Ferrara, and then these kids that were like going viral for some shit. But yeah, I don't know where that clip. If you guys ever find it, it's on.
But Kev, you know where he got his name from, right?
I actually don't know.
It was initially Jamie the Plug.
Yeah.
Right. That's how.
It was Jamie the Great. It was
and then-
always that, and then Travis Scott was. I was just getting him all these fucking shoes he couldn't find.
Yeah.
This is before his Nike deal. He asked me, "Yo, give me these," and I got them within like a day. He's like, "Yo, you the plug? You're not Jamie the Great. You Jamie the Plug," and that's where that
Pause.
took off. You know what I mean?
Fucking
You're
butt
sniffing
plug.
stuff. They got the plugs. You know, like what the fuck is going on?
Jamie the fucking butt plug.
But
That's
yeah,
what
so
you are.
that's when that's what I got put onto Jamie, and then I just was kind of been following him through the years, and then I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
when you guys just put the podcast together. I think I just started listening. I just put it on.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think there was.
I thought it was maybe the hip hop episode, the Rockefeller.
Yeah,
one.
yeah, maybe it was that. But I'm
You posted
saying,
that.
yeah. So I mean, I started listening, but when hip hop came on, I was like, "This is unbelievable. These stories are crazy," and that's when I
wow.
started posting it. I mean, I think for DJ culture and music, I'm sure everything is amazing for that fan base. But when you guys do hip hop and Skills and Cypher and Enough and a lot of these guys who came from the game, like those stories, I could listen to those stories forever. I mean, if you look at my Instagram feed, it's all just like hip hop pages that kind of put together all these clips of interviews and shit. And then I was like, that's what this podcast does. So that's why I started listening.
And thank you for always shouting us out and like giving us all that promo and all that love,
for
man.
sure.
I love to try to pay
it.
it back, pay it forward, you know?
That's crazy. So you were listening to some of the early episodes?
Yeah. I mean, like, to be real, some of the DJs I don't even know.
Yeah.
But I just like hearing about,
But
you know.
really? Like you
Yeah.
just kind of you wait for some nuggets of like understanding what's going on in clubs and shit like that.
Yeah, the club. I mean, I like more when it's like music talk, but I think it's all kind of connected. I'm also very into music. I mean, I don't make music. I'm very not musically inclined, but as a music fan, I find it, and a rap fan, I find the whole industry, like the whole industry in general, very interesting. Like, why is rap so down right now, and why was it so big then? Different trends and all that. And I feel like you're talking about clubs and shit, but you're also talking about like the music and what's changed.
Yeah.
I feel like I agree with a lot of stuff you say about how the genre has changed and all that. So it's just kind of my way to keep connected with music, really.
What are some of the other are you just constantly like kind of listening to different podcasts and just
honestly? No, I only just started listening to podcasts, despite doing it for as long as I did it.
Yeah.
I only started recently.
Why is that?
I started listening, so we interview a lot of comedians on my podcast.
Yeah.
And obviously in the last, however many years has been this boom of podcast of comedians becoming podcasts. So I just started to kind of listen to those. And then I remember like being like, oh, I get why people listen to podcasts now. Like I've been doing it for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it was. And I remember thinking like, man, I can't believe that like this many people listen to us. Like we're just bullshitting and messing around.
Right.
But whatever, I'll take it. And then I started listening to like Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer and Sam Morrill and Mark Norman and these guys who I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And then I started like you guys, Rory and Mal. Like that's, like the one thing I don't get to do at work really is rap and music. It's just I don't really have the credibility or the people around me to do it. So that's my one thing that is kind of just me as a fan. So that's kind of like the shows.
That's crazy because you have one of the bigger hip hop podcasts in Barstool, which is Gilly and Wallow.
Yeah.
$1 million worth of game.
Right. Those are our boys. Like they're doing their thing. We're like a little bit separated from them. Like.
Oh, you don't run into the hallway like, yo, Gilly, what you think about her?
If they were in the building every day, I would love to think that I could hop on there and have them on my show more.
Wait, where are they located?
I mean, I know they're Philly boys, but I don't know.
Okay.
But I feel like every time I turn around, they're on.
Yeah, but how did they get on Barstool?
So the one dude we have at Barstool that I can definitively say is like the king of rap at Barstool is Roan.
Shouts to Ron.
The battle rap champion. Ron.
Classic, amazing, legendary battle rapper.
I mean, just the best.
And he looks like Alex. So he looks exactly. I
can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Little scrawny white boy. But he's amazing.
I mean, like, the whitest, pointy nose white boy you've ever seen in your life. And then he just battles and he fucking shreds dudes.
He destroys.
And he started working at Barstool. And told Dave, he's like, Gilly and Wallow are like Philly legends. You got to put these guys on. And ever since then, they've been part of the family. So
wow,
yeah, but
shit. Yeah, it's funny because you get so amped on some of the conversations or some of the clips that when we put them out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and
I get fired up.
Yeah,
it's my one like actual passion where I'm really.
You've had Cypher Sounds on too.
Yep. So Cypher's doing a lot of the comedy. And it's funny. Growing up in New York. Cypher Sounds is to me is rap and music and DJ hip hop, and then all of a sudden he's really made a name for himself. That's like, and there's a lot of people getting into comedy right now who are like using their celebrity from somewhere else to just pop onto stages, and I can sell tickets so I can be in these theaters and clubs, and it's a little bit like. I don't know. They're kind of using it, but Cypher's one guy who's like
he's put the work in.
Put the work in, embedded himself in the culture, the same way he did rap. He's doing it for comedy as well. So
yeah, he started it when everyone was like, "You're crazy." Like, why are you gonna go into comedy?
Right.
Like,
but even when he was doing his hip hop thing, he was like hosting shows of comedians. And
I think hip hop and comedy are very, very close together.
For sure.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think when you're just thinking about punchlines and wordplay, improv, like feeling crowds and performing, and it's just the added element of like making it all rhyme. But
that and boxing as well. It's like it's mano a mano type thing. It's like it's just you and them.
And
I think the competitive element of rap I think is what separates it from everything. There's really not any other comparison in any other genre, really.
What's your opinion about what's going on right now?
I'm so happy to talk about it, bro. Not only like nobody, even there's a couple guys who are like my age. I'm 38, so we kind of grew up through that like 90s and 2000s. Like, we didn't realize it in the time, but we're in the middle of this like golden era of rap.
So I got a question. Were you in New York when Jay and Nas were going at it, and we were all tuned into Hot 97, and we were listening to Take Over, and then Ether, and then Super Ugly? We're
the best.
Yeah.
Did you go to Summer Jam and all that shit?
I didn't go to Summer Jam. I went to the Up in Smoke tour. I remember being like,
the Dre.
I was a little bit out of place. I was like, I'm a little too young and a little out of place.
That lineup was Ice Cube was the opener, and then it was Eminem and Exhibit, and then you had Dre and Snoop, and then they brought out Nate Dogg, and it was crazy. It was crazy.
First time I smoked a blunt. First time.
How old were you?
That was probably like
That was 99.
15.
Wow.
15. Yeah, I was born in 85. So.
Oh wow.
But I never made it to Summer Jam. That's kind of a regret of mine.
I've never been to a Summer Jam.
Really?
Have you, Goldy?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh, yeah.
Goldy was there. He walked in Michael Jackson. What are you talking about?
Thanks.
Were you there? Were you there?
I was there for the Michael Jackson thing. I was there for the Jay-Z diss. I was there for all that.
Wow.
Incredible.
I was there when Destiny Child got booed. They actually got booed before Jay-Z came out and did
That was the same year?
same year.
The Michael Jackson or the Summer Jam disc?
Michael Jackson. And
Wait, why did Destiny Child get booed? Just because it's a hip hop
because
concert,
they,
right?
they actually got booed at playoffs. The Philly LA. Remember they had the finals. Mm-hmm. They got
the NBA finals.
They had the jerseys on, and they had one side Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, that ain't gonna fly.
And they did that in Philly. You know, Philly
You can get away with that in LA.
You can't do that in
cannot do
Philly.
No
We're
way.
nicer.
Philly threw ice. They threw snowballs like with ice at Santa Claus. Like
And they wear T-shirts to this day that said Santa deserved it.
yeah. So they're brutal. So
No, Philly is known to be the worst crowd, even for comedians, right?
They're brutal.
Like the worst.
But they're also like.
Heartfelt.
They're just like, I always tell them, because we have some Philly guys, we have people all over now at
Yeah.
Barstool, and a lot of the times they're always like, if there's a story about another fan, let's say, I feel like every year there was a story about a Dodgers fan or a Raiders fan getting like stabbed in the parking lot.
Oh, that
right?
was a regular thing in opening day.
Always, right? Always.
Dodger Stadium?
And,
oh my
like they would literally, like once a year someone's getting stabbed, and the Philly guys would be like, how come you're not talking about those cities? Like, and I said, just embrace it. Just be like, yeah, man, we are heartfelt scumbags. You will have the best home field advantage you've ever had here.
Yeah.
If we're hard on you, but we will love you to death if you root for the city and ride for the city.
Yeah.
So you could do like, hey, I'm just rooting for both teams in LA, not in Philly, bro.
I always think of that Billboard rant that really blew him
that
up
put him on
when he was in Philly, and he went on for his whole set just shitting on Philly because they kept booing all these comedians.
I heard that night it was just like the whole night, every single buddy got booed, and
But
it was like
these big comedians were just getting booed in Philly.
They didn't
And
give
then
a
Bill
fuck.
Burr just stood up
Just
there,
went
and he's like, "You guys are fucking shitbags." He's like, "You guys worship fucking Rocky."
Yo, but it kind of like
like
they
a
were
fucking
booing back,
fictional boxer.
but it kind of turned the crowd a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think people started to respect it because that's how.
And
they
it was
roll.
like the first videos that went like viral on like it
was like
yeah, it was like
camcorder, like-
it wasn't.
yeah.
I think it was a fucking
Oh, it was
one of the
camcorder?
first camera phones. I don't know that got it, and then we were
Mad
just watching it.
pixelated, but you
Was.
could just hear his voice.
And he would just count because they had like, I don't know, like 8 minutes or 10 minutes, and he would just keep shitting, and he'd be like, 8 more minutes. He's like, and he just stood there looking at them, you fucking shitbags, fucking this shit town.
it was great.
I think Joe Louis is from Philly or something. I don't know what the fuck. No,
Joe Lewis from Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah.
I don't know if some boxer was from fucking Philly. He's like, you don't worship that boxer, but you fucking worship this
The fake
fictional,
one, yeah.
fictional Rocky. You got a statue of this fictional movie.
I think it was Joe Frazier.
Yeah, Joe Frazier. That's what it was. And it was like the most amazing thing. And ever since then, it was,
But that's again, sort of like hip hop. It's like cities and battling, and
Right.
like, it's
New York is pretty bad too. I mean, New York has Apollo. I mean, Apollo is like that's where it kind of came from.
true.
You know.
it's not an easy town either, man.
It's not.
Especially if you're on the wrong side of it. If you're
So
in
so
sports,
Destiny
man.
Child had all his bills, and all these different songs where they're kind of like
Shitting
trashy
on men,
guys.
yeah.
And they got fucking booed at Summer Jam. Like dudes were in there like, "Fuck, we don't
Right.
hear this bullshit." And they was
And it
like,
is like a hip hop.
yeah, it was a hip hop.
It's a hip hop festival.
Yeah.
And they went into their song, and it was like, we're gonna sing a gospel song.
No. Because
She was like, "You gonna boo God? Boo!" She was incredible.
You're gonna boo God,
Shit
it's
was
crazy.
incredible.
I feel like back then it was like real hip hop too, right?
Oh,
Because in
yeah.
recent years
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of gone. I remember when Nicki Minaj did, I think she played like Starships or some shit like that, and the crowd was not happy because it was like, we're supposed to be here for rap.
And then
But back then it
that's
was,
when Rosenberg went off on
Yeah.
it.
Yes, right. That was the whole thing. But that was years before.
Yeah.
You're gonna boo God.
You're gonna boo
But
God.
wait, after that, Jay-Z, that's when he showed like Mobb Deep on the
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
that was on
he
that-
showed
that's
Prodigy in a
Jackson.
ballerina suit or something.
No, he had on a Thriller jacket. It was just
Oh,
like
the Thriller jacket?
with the
Oh.
zippers.
Oh,
seen
that's
that
funny
picture?
because
He was a-
I
he
feel
was
like
a
the
young
story
kid, though.
has become he was
The
in like a
ballerina
tutu,
suit, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Huh?
he just had on a Thriller jacket and was
Interesting.
doing the Michael Jackson shit.
You never seen that picture? Our pictures everywhere.
Wait, yeah, I always thought it was like some ballerina.
But he was a
shit.
kid. But he's a little kid. It was like he's 4 years old or 5 years old.
Doesn't matter, man. Whatever. You got that. You go in, spin that narrative, man. I thought there was some footage like that just leaked like this year or last year of that. I feel like we didn't have footage of it.
Nah,
recently.
it was a Summer Jam screen. That's
but
of the actual event
of it happening.
I've never seen the event.
Yeah, because I think there was some grainy old footage.
Video Music Box covered it.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh no,
okay,
but there's been some new. There was a new angle of the everything.
That's what I saw. Yeah,
it was like a more like on the 100 level. It was like
it's from the crowd.
Wait, so you wait? Which one's the most epic Summer Jam you went to?
I was there when Nas didn't perform. That was pretty weird.
Well, that's the one where he had him being lynched, right? He had Jay-Z.
No. He never got to that point, but they was like, he's not coming on. And you start to hear the buzz and it was like, Nas is not going to, because this was the year Nas was going to settle it, I guess, with Jay. Because, all the other years, Jay was like, Summer Jam.
Right.
And Nas got the chance to headline Summer Jam and everybody's waiting around like, okay, what's going to happen? And he didn't show up.
Is there a reason?
No, they said that part of his show, they didn't want him to do part of his show.
Was it the
effigy.
Right, and he was like, if I can't do that, then I'm out.
He left and then he went to 105.1.
Oh, it was the Jesus thing?
And went on a rant.
God.
But that's when I think Enough said on the podcast that he went and he grabbed Cameron and Dipset.
Yeah, he did.
They performed.
He did. He grabbed them, Dipset, and then Ja Rule came on after, and people started like heading to the exits. No. Ja Rule was hot, but it was late, and then the word had already got out that Nas is not performing.
Right.
And then like people are listening on their radio, and then he's like, oh, he's dissing them on 105, and it was like, on the way home, you started hearing him just going off on everybody. Like, this is why I'm not at Summer Jam. This is why.
I don't know, though, man. You might have your reasons, but I feel like that was the moment to do it at Summer Jam.
But they wouldn't let him.
Fire back.
But they wouldn't
But
let
he
him.
could have just get rid of that one part, or no?
Yeah, but I guess
so-
that's part of his show.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
Because it was the Hate Me Now, the Jesus thing?
Nah, bro. He was actually planning on hanging Jay in effigy.
You never seen
know what I
that?
mean?
It was like a dummy.
It was going to be like a
Lynching.
dummy. that
Oh,
was gonna
lynching him. I
Yeah,
heard
lynching
about
him.
it. Yeah.
So
Which I
that
can
was
understand them being like,
that was
we
part of
can't do
his.
that.
That was going to be part of his show at some point.
But they had it like
And I
already
guess-
set up at Summer Jam. I remember.
and I guess because it was Summer Jam and how he felt about.
So he was like, if I
station.
can't lynch Jay-Z, I'm
No.
not
Right, I'm
performing.
just like y'all telling me what I'm gonna do at my show. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
I'm not gonna lynch him, but I'll fucking
That's
lynch
fucking crazy.
Wow, 97. That's
Yeah.
Man, that was such a great time, though. That battle was unbelievable.
That battle was insane. That has to
like
be.
the top dogs.
You think that's bigger than Biggie well, Biggie never responded.
But yeah, it was never like,
Yeah. with
That was
Tupac.
like just I don't know. That beef was
That definitely set the bar up.
I think Ice Cube maybe was bigger than that.
Nah, you know what I think also, like that Pusha T with Drake.
Oh,
To me, that actually changed all battles.
I think the Ice Cube NWA.
Really?
yeah, the No Vaseline, bro. Fuck, he went.
Yo, he
5
changed
minutes.
the whole coast, yo. He changed the whole coast. And then he came to New York.
And then he worked with Bomb Squad. And then
You
he made
get what I'm saying?
classics.
Yeah.
So you think that to you is bigger, or in your personal opinion, No Vaseline, that era of battle is bigger than like Jay and Nas and all
I
that?
think the ramifications of it was bigger than the Jay-Z and Nas. Because they had always been taking shots at each other. So I never really saw it as it was a really, really, really big deal. It was just like Ice Cube is from the West Coast.
Yeah.
He actually was beefing with the West Coast and came to the East Coast to beef with the West Coast.
That's crazy. That's gangster.
You got to think about that.
But I just think there was an earlier time. By the time when Jay-Z and Nas were doing it, those were two premier names when rap had really risen to become like
Who was bigger than Ice Cube at that point?
But in
NWA.
No, in the hip hop world, but I'm saying like Nas and Jay-Z became names that were like known outside of hip hop, where I think that just
like
was on a
Cross?
whole other level of.
I get it, but
people,
if
but,
Ice Cube loses, he's from the West Coast. How do you know what I mean? You got no choice. You got to do what he broke up a whole crew by himself.
A whole
Think about
record label.
He took it down. That is
this
crazy.
is by himself. This is not. I got somebody else that's backing me up. This is I'm out here by myself, and I'm dissing y'all.
He wrote the
That
biggest
was a
records
lot
for the group.
bigger.
He wrote the biggest records for the group. He leaves the group. He shits on the group. He dissolves the fucking whole record label.
Yeah.
And then he goes on and he makes Friday and he's writing movies.
But he comes to the East Coast to do it.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother slap.
With the Bomb Squad.
You gotta think about that.
That's insane.
I think it's interesting though, like the whole beef with like Jay and Nas and all that shit. Like anytime a rapper names like the top 3 rappers, one of the motherfuckers in there are not happy being named with the other motherfucker. Because Jay was like Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas.
That's the big 3.
On Where I'm From, right? Was it Where I'm From?
Yeah.
Who's the best MCs? Biggie,
But
Jay-Z,
it's always been a big 3 type of situation. Even though I don't believe that it's always been accurate. Even in the 80s, like they had, the names you'll say in the 80s, you'll say Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, KRS.
Right.
But in actuality, Slick Rick was up there. In actuality, Chuck D was up there. Actuality, Kool G Rap was up there. Actuality, Cube was up there. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's never really accurate. It's not accurate now. If you say big 3 now, you say, oh, Cole, Kendrick, J. Cole. But what about Travis? What about Future? What about, there's a couple of names you could throw in there as far as if you're talking about stats and.
I don't know. I wouldn't put Trav up there.
I was going to say, with the previous era, there were other icons. There was other legends. There was. I feel like it's pretty slim these days. No,
nah, I don't think so.
For hip hop,
I mean, if you're
compared
if
to
you're dealing,
like 80s, 90s, early 2000s, where you had
if you're dealing with the stats, what the stats are based on now.
Yeah.
I mean, Travis is pretty big in hip hop.
In stats, but not like
but
not
you're
like
talking
an MC,
about,
right?
But you're talking about era. You're talking about the era that we're in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're never gonna get them to rhyme like KRS and them was gonna rhyme. We're never gonna get them to rhyme like Biggie and them.
Don't you think though? Like I know that music is obviously all opinion based, and every generation goes through that level of like I'm the old man being like, oh, they don't make them like they used to. But I feel like in hip hop, it's like it's proving out that that's like true. Like the old version of rap with the lyrics, with the presentation of the music, I feel like is actually better than now.
I would say 1,000%.
Right? And like it can be popular, you can enjoy it, it can still sell, it can pack out stadiums, but like just some of the level we're talking about
I think
here.
it's apples and oranges.
Maybe it's just a different type of music.
It's just different type of music. Each generation has a different type of music. Like the Biggie and the Pac and the Nas era is so much different than what we considered the dopest shit in the 80s. So much different.
But the funny thing is, like the young kids, like the like maybe early 20s and teens, they don't even give a shit about this this whole Drake.
No.
To me, it's like we should be talking about nothing but this. And they're like, whatever. We want to,
They're like, let these old
what's
rappers.
Yachty doing? Like, what? Yeah, we're a bunch of old men just like screaming at each other.
But they look at Drake and Kendrick and Cole as like old rappers. They're just like,
they've been in the game since like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
So
listen, if I like him, it's old. Washed up.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think the reason why there's the big 3 is like I do think those 3 guys are a cut above a lot of other people when it comes to the ability to battle or rhyme or
So
whatever. But back then I feel in the 90s you had the really big names, but then the other guys in the second tier were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like if they were in a different era, they would be
right.
Guys, think it's Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas, and then there's Outkast and Mos Def and Gangstar. It's like all of these names,
all these other different people
are crazy.
Yeah.
Look at that year of 1998. All the albums that came out.
Yeah.
And I just every Tuesday went to Sam Goody to pick up another album, not realizing that I was picking up like classic after classic after classic after classic. I took it for granted.
That was a prime year.
So good.
For a whole nother generation. I me like Noriega, Cameron, DMX.
DMX twice.
In that year. Silk the Shaka.
Yeah. Dude, for real though.
Don't bring up Silk the Shaka. Come on, man.
I'm joking.
But that was like at the time. If that happened
was on
now,
a roll for a second.
I was joking, man. I'm joking.
We're gonna clip that when he says Silk the Shaka.
Don't clip it. Don't keep it in.
That's so hilarious.
edit that up. Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, Silk the Shaka.
What is your thought on the whole Drake Cole, Kendrick, and I guess I don't know if Rick
Future,
Ross and all
Metro.
the Future Metro shit. Like,
I feel like what J. Cole did.
Apologize.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure he's at peace with that decision because he seems like he's a very emotional and like in tune guy who was just like, I don't want bad blood and I don't want that negative energy. But to me, I'm just like, how do you come back from that in the sense of everything you said once about I'll go toe to toe with any MC, the best bar spitter in the world. Well, that's out the window. And then anything you say going forward, everyone's like, yeah, but you're all talk. So that to me was like, especially for a situation like this where, God willing, but I think we all agree that it's not going to get violent. It's not going to be dangerous. It's not going to be bad for the culture. This is something where it could just be, let's keep it on records and battle and see who's the best. So like to bow out of that, it was like it was the perfect stage to let's do it, and also to be like I lost sleep over this.
Yeah,
when
really?
it's like this. Yeah, this is what hip hop's built on. It's not something that's out of the norm. It's not something that you're like, whoa, we shouldn't be doing this. This has been going on for generations, and now it's your turn to do it. I personally believe that if you really want to be considered like one of the top, you need to have hits and classic albums, and then you need to be like battle tested. Whether you win or lose, like have a classic battle. But to bow out and to apologize is like. But I don't know. It kind of clears the way for just Drake and Kendrick to do their thing.
I'm going to be God's advocate on this situation. I believe that it was the right choice for J. Cole.
Yeah.
Just on the strength that he announced this at his festival. He had other TDE artists on his festival. Like you just have SZA there.
Kendrick is not TDE anymore.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying you're cool with that whole camp. And
Yeah.
You're basically kind of being a little disingenuous if the FM and you just got his boys perform for your joint.
Right.
It's also tough. I mean, a couple weeks earlier, he said, you're in the big three.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to go battle somebody when you just gave them props and have admitted that you think that he's amazing.
I just thought
but that's why I think it's the perfect time to be like, I mean, you could hear it in 7 Minute Drill. It's like, I mean, half the time he was complimenting him.
Yeah.
Your first album was classic. Your third album, you were bigger than me. You're amazing. But it's very hard to battle someone when there's actually not bad blood.
I thought it would be crazy disingenuous if he actually went with malice to somebody that he's actually supposed to be cool with.
Right.
I thought that was a breath of fresh air, him not being phony.
Yeah.
Do you think it's also that I think when you battle now, maybe it's because of Pusha, it's like you have to go dig up dirt and make it personal, tear somebody down outside the game.
Totally.
And
I
it's like,
think that what we're looking for blood.
Yeah.
We're looking for blood, but he's not really the person that has the issue.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm going to buy out of this because this is really not my fight.
Yeah.
right. But he kind of talked that way in the past,
I think he was speaking in generality.
Yeah.
I think something like if you get on a song with me, you're not gonna have the
Right.
Sure, but
And he was
now we're
showing
starting
that.
to split hairs a little
Now-
bit here. It's like
but
if you
now-
rap a lot about being the best MC, and then it's like prove it, and you're like, I'm sorry.
but is it going to be, I'm going to show you that I'm the best MC by saying I'm going to kill you?
So like,
Yeah.
And that's where it's starting to seem like it's starting to go.
so what I've heard is that initially, like, first person shooter was supposed to be Kendrick, Cole, and Drake.
Allegedly.
Like Kendrick allegedly had the beat.
Yes.
And he was actually, Cole started writing on it, and then Drake kind of picked up after him. And then they were just waiting for Kendrick to kind of be the third verse.
Okay.
And they were kind of ghosted.
Oh.
That makes sense because the second part of the song is a whole other beat, so they needed another verse. So Drake.
So like it was just kind of like there was like a no call and response. They were just like, yo, like, all right. So like,
Yeah, that's enough to start it to be like, all right.
they were just
if
like,
you
let's
listen to
just
that
release
song,
it, you know?
if you listen to that song, Drake never says that Kendrick's in the big three.
Right, it's all Cole, yeah.
That's Cole saying, "Oh, the big three." Drake is kind of saying it's kind of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? As well as Cole says, I'm the best. I feel like Muhammad Ali. I'm the GOAT, this, that, and the third. It's a lot of shit talking. But Drake never refers to Kendrick in that three.
Which is funny because if you think about it, Drake is a guy who's coming off of a 88 city tour, right? Probably wants to just chill for a little bit. This dude, J. Cole, he comes up with this big three. He responds and then backs out of it, and now Drake's got to respond. It's like I don't want to do any of this shit, man. You're the one who's caused all this problem, and now you're at home sleeping in bed at night, and I got to pick up the pieces.
Also, Drake has said it many times that he's like, I know you said top 2, but I'm not 2, and I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's made it kind of clear that he's the dog.
Yeah,
but I also think that him doing that record was out of character. The 7 minute drill. That was out of. I don't think he wanted to do that record, and I think he felt pressure to do that record.
I mean, he said as much, right? When in that apologies, and my friends were asking,
it was completely out of character, and I think also you gotta understand. Like we talked about this yesterday, Goldy. When you do this, you're basically going to war. It's like you're going to the mattresses, right? Mm-hmm. So your whole team has to be ready. Everyone's got to be ready to respond. Sure. And not only that, we were talking about Drake, right? He's going to war like 3 times. His team has been ready.
They know
3
what's
times.
up. They know how to do this.
They've been to this. They've been to the finals.
Yeah,
they've been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They've been there 3 times.
They won. They've lost. They've done it all. Yeah.
We remember we said, like you just mentioned it today, but we said the memes also set the narrative. He's got a marketing team.
They know what's up.
They're ready for war. They're like already building memes, and they're like, "Oh, we could do this way. We could do this shit."
I hate to admit it, but that is almost as important as the track these days. And they're just—that's why I go back to the comedy thing. They're funny. Even what Ross is doing, it's funny. It's like it's
engagement.
50's been doing it for a long time. If you are in touch with memes and social media and how to use that, you can win a battle without even putting out a song.
Just roasting the motherfucker.
Yes.
51 said, I came to the game with a bulletproof vest on, so I don't have to get ready to protect myself because I already got the vest on. I got a bulletproof truck. I'm already good as far as with anything coming at me because I'm prepared for it, and I don't not be prepared for it.
Yeah.
But so wait,
if you get into war, you gotta kind of gear up.
But this is Game of Thrones,
and everybody's not on it like that.
This is not a night
like when you look at Future and Metro, how they're moving like Game of Thrones. They've been planning this shit.
Well, it feels like it's an organized, like
it's so strategic.
Within the last a couple months, and I know shit's been bubbling for a while, but within the last couple months, everybody has either taken shots or taken sides where it has to have at least been a little coordinated. I like Game of Threnes talk. It's like it's no shit. Lock the doors and we're gonna kill him.
I think this is the Barzini hit. I think this is Corleone getting shot but not dying.
It is.
Yeah, I don't think he's dying at all. I think
I believe that he's gonna be like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah,
and Michael's just gonna be like,
yeah. I feel like if Drake wins this, it's a big deal for his career.
It's 15 versus 1 right now.
Right.
Thanos,
so I think already
Thanos. This is Infinity War. He needs to collect the gems right now.
Because Drake has never been like. There's obviously a lot of diehard Drake fans, but there's a lot of Drake haters because he's not the most sympathetic figure. He does some corny shit. He does some goofy shit. He's I can understand why some people don't like him. But now the fact that all of these guys got really petty and teamed up, I think from the jump he already started to look good. Being like nobody's rooting against the guy who's going 1 versus 20 and saying let's go. Yeah. So off the rip, he's kind of like okay, and then he drops that record, which and we can talk about that record itself. I thought was great, and so if he comes out on top, and let's say the overwhelming decision is that he beats Kendrick Lamar, while also clowning all these other dudes, that's a notch on your belt. That is.
I don't think they want to give him the notch, though. To tell you the truth, I don't think the industry wants to give him.
They don't want to.
But I think they want him to stick around. I think they want him to help. I think they want him to patch it up because he benefits and he pretty much spreads himself out to all these different labels and helps all these different artists.
Well,
I don't believe that the industry wants him to actually lose.
He's been saying that, right? All your number ones are at my hand.
They want him to still kind of keep it cool with everybody.
But don't you think they should just shut the fuck up then? like Ross is, Ross is a perfect example.
I think there's going to be some piecing up in the next couple of the next couple of days. I think it's going to be some.
I think it's fucked up that Metro and Future, they strategically released all the shit. They dropped all the shit knowing he's on tour. Knowing that he can't, there's going to be a good month or 3-4 weeks where he
get
can't.
at him again. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and it throws them
Your
off.
forces are down.
Yeah.
You got to think about this. This is right around the time he said he was going to take a break.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of this stuff starts happening. He says he's
Not.
going to take a break.
It's not by coincidence.
That's why to me it's like Game of Thrones. They know he's like, this is like the best time to hit him. This is the best time to do it.
What is it called?
He's the Barzini hit, man. This is
He's
the Barzini
tired.
hit, man.
He's tired.
The
He's
Red
like
Wedding or
exhausted.
whatever.
Yeah, they lock the doors.
They lock
Let's
the
go.
doors.
But I don't understand the like Drake's reputation. I think just because you can sing and make R&B tracks and make dance tracks and pop tracks and go do Afro beats and do all the shit does not mean that you can no longer rap. You know?
Yeah.
I don't get why. I understand because, listen, I have really not enjoyed a lot of his albums for a long time now, to be honest.
I don't
But-
think anything since Scorpion has been like top notch.
And I get, you know, people say he's trying to please so many different fan bases, so he's got to do so many different things. I'm waiting for his, like, blueprint or, like, a classic where it's just like...
But you know what the problem
But he's
is?
never going to do that.
But
But why? So why do people think that he's not able to do this or not able to rap when he's proved it? He just does other shit as well.
Do you remember like Jordan when he was like winning all the championships?
Yeah, that
and then he
fatigue.
was being so petty that he needed to get like motivated. So
and he'll create these beefs.
if he will create these beefs in his mind,
And I
over
took that
nothing.
personally.
Yeah. So like Drake is like so on top and he's so comfortable that he knows he can take these chances and do all these things and still
Right.
stay on top. And if you notice, he strategically goes left, and then he comes back with like a 21 Savage album.
Yep.
Yeah.
He goes back to the streets. He goes a little
Yeah.
left, and then he comes back to the streets.
And every album has like a timestamp record where he's
And-
like, I can rhyme, like I'm going to show that. But people seem to forget that. Like, so when you're looking at like Kendrick versus him, it's like a lot of people being like, oh, Kendrick is, you know, a cut above. It's like, I don't think so, man. Just because he goes and sings doesn't mean, don't forget about all this track, that, you know what I mean?
Are y'all Kendrick fans?
Yes.
I'm very much Kendrick.
Yeah.
You're a Kendrick fan.
Yes.
On the
his
battle,
albums,
though?
he has albums. His albums are amazing.
I respect them, but in this battle, I'm kind of Team Drake.
Team Drake.
Yeah, I'm Team.
Oh, I'm not picking Kendrick. I'm just saying that his albums are very good.
I'm
and a
picking
fan.
Drake for sure.
Wait, now, when who do you want to win and who do you think's going to win?
I think both.
What about you?
I think that it will never happen.
Never.
I don't think it's.
You
Gonna
don't think Kendrick?
You don't think
responding?
Kendrick's going to respond?
happen. No, I don't think it's going to be the battle that everybody's thinking that it's going to be. It's not going to come to a head.
Do you think Kendrick will respond?
I don't think Kendrick is that active to chase Drake around like that.
I think that's going to be a knock on him. If Drake, what Drake said there, if there's no response,
I think
that's tough.
the mystery of him not saying anything and him still getting the credit that he's better lyrically than Drake is all that matters.
But you can't
that's so
start the
shitty though.
You can't start.
I
a
believe
shit-
that's where we're going to be at. It's like
Yeah.
we're never
he
going to get
started
it.
this fucking fire, and then now he doesn't want to come fucking turn it
Yeah,
off.
right. That's what I mean. You can't say all that shit and then, I mean, again, you can do whatever you want, like J.
But
Cole.
he's been
like, I'm
doing
gonna
it.
take
But
my
he's been
own
doing
way.
it for the last 8 years. He's always said it. He's always popped out, said a bunch of people's names, and ducks back out.
Just
and goes to
don't
do
come
the
over here
album.
and say Beetlejuice 3 times.
Yeah, he's been, you know, you can't be considered the GOAT if you have a ghostwriter and all these like references here and there. And now the chips are down and he's just not going to respond.
Nah.
To me, well, if that happens, I think that should be a big knock on his, you know, resume when we go talk about who the hip hop goats.
It has to be a totally dedicated diss for me to feel like they're in a battle.
You need to take over. You need to take over.
It has to
from
be
Kendrick.
my song.
Yeah.
It has to be my song on my album, and I'm directly giving it to you.
I don't even need an album.
That's no Vaseline.
No, but that's
Right.
to me.
Were you surprised that Like That was considered such like people were like, whoa, when really he just had
I thought it was a
couple
dope
bars.
beat.
Yeah,
I
it's a
thought
good
it was a
song.
dope song. I thought that what he said was not anything different than anybody shooting on a regular subliminal.
That's
you know
what
what I mean?
think,
Like
too.
I didn't
Just saying you're the best. It's
Yeah.
just, like that happens in every rap song.
I mean, motherfuck the Big Three is a statement, yeah, but you've been saying subliminals like that for years.
ever. Yeah.
But the Prince Mike Jag, like all that shit.
I think it definitely kicked this all off in a sense of like, okay, that was a direct shot, but I would not compare it to no Vaseline, a takeover. Like
No,
that was you know a few bars in a great song, not a like verse after verse battle rap.
I got a question though, and I've asked you this before, Goldy. Do you really think Cole and Drake are threatened by Kendrick at all?
No.
And I've talked about this just because of we've talked about this certain motherfuckers in the industry, how they never really are seen as like a great, or they're never given the due respect, even though they may have been like killing it and
Right.
they made these hits, they've done all these things.
Right.
But because they're like short, They're just not. No, like it's like they just don't.
It's like a Napoleon.
Yeah,
complex
because
type of
they
thing.
this is like, look at this little motherfucker. Like the way
pick you
Cole,
up.
Yeah.
the way Cole
He's tiny.
did that 7-minute drill. It was kind of like, yo, you want me to beat up the kid in the wheelchair?
I mean, look
Kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Drake says he's a pipsqueak.
Yeah.
He says he wears a size 7
7.
shoe.
There's
It's like,
something-
I don't think that they're really taking him
They don't take him seriously.
seriously like
Yeah.
that.
Because when you see them physically, you just like, yo,
It's
fam.
great.
I could pick you up.
It's low hanging fruit, but if you're talking about this is some man to man shit.
Yeah.
And one guy is that much smaller. Like that is. By the way, that's like all of. Like when I started meeting people in entertainment, and,
Everybody's short in
everybody's
right?
tiny, man.
Yeah.
I met a couple like action stars. And I was like, "Oh, you wouldn't be able to do any of that shit
Well,
in your
Tom
movies."
Cruise is this big.
Tom
so-
Cruise is real
Yeah,
tiny,
and
man.
you know-
But even like when I found out, like I think Eminem, DMX, these guys who I consider
That's what I was
the
gonna say,
scariest guys in the
DMX.
world, they're like 5'7",
Yeah.
5'8". I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, I used to be terrified of you, and if I took a picture with you, I'd be like, "Hey, buddy." Don't get it twisted. I'm still afraid of these people. But
I don't know if you do it with DMX.
yeah,
but
no. I'm still very afraid, but it's just crazy to find out that.
Yeah.
And then I mean,
think it plays. I
Kendrick's
think it's a
real
factor.
small.
I think
It
it's
is.
a factor.
Yeah.
I think it's a factor.
It's like the Magic
Really?
Johnson, Larry Bird, and then you have Isaiah Thomas. It's like
Yo,
that.
I'll tell you what though. If there's one thing I've learned, because we, doing what I do, people send in videos all the time of like people getting in fights and knockouts and crazy shit. Nowadays, with the amount of like MMA training that a regular dude will do, there are guys who are 5'4",
Yeah.
and you blink and that somebody's breaking a bone or knocking you out, one punching you. You never know who can throw hands anymore, man.
Yeah,
so
it is- it
height's
is
not
kind of
everything,
up for
bro.
grabs. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I think also Kendrick being like, maybe of shorter stature, if he had TDE behind him, that's a different threat.
But he does it,
He doesn't.
He doesn't. He has
So it's
PF
just
Lang.
kind of like, you
and
know,
that's where I think why we'll never get it.
Oh, PF Lang.
I think that's why we'll never get it.
I also don't think Drake can really, like, let's say Kendrick puts out something that is undeniable and Drake loses. Bad for his resume, right? But like, I don't think Drake misses a beat. I think he just goes back to
That's
like,
why I don't think it's going to be
right?
it.
But you
maybe
think-
hip hop people will criticize, but every other
ladies
pop.
still
I think the
Gonna
critics
love him.
and stuff
Totally.
like that. I think the critics are like Kendrick Darling type of people with
Totally.
his whole
Yes.
So he's like the critics' favorite.
Yes.
And because he's a little bit more lyrical than Drake, allegedly,
But
they are pushing Kendrick to battle Drake. But I don't think it's never going to happen.
But see, I don't. When people say that, I understand because Kendrick presents himself in that way. But is he like, break it down that much more lyrical? Because when Drake does it, he does it.
I think when they say lyrical, they're more talking about substance.
Yeah. Well,
So if you want to say substance,
Yeah.
and
That's fine.
That's
Yeah.
debatable. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Mhm.
But lyrical, I don't see it.
but like Kendrick is like a Jordan Peele movie to me, where there's like these deep messages, and you have to like really kind of where like
His albums are Get Out, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying no. Where I would say a Jordan Peele movie, sometimes the story and the story and the movie itself is secondary to the message.
Yes.
I get that.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
with Kendrick,
I figured out what it is.
musically, sometimes it's not the greatest experience, but some of his fans really appreciate the message regardless
into it.
of the music experience.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is, and I just thought about it? Drake is fun. Kendrick is serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why people
And what's
are
Cole?
more-
What's Cole?
Cole is
A
Informational.
hippie. He's a hippie.
There was a time when they used to say, "Oh, Cole,
Cole is
sleepy time,
sleeping. Yeah.
sleepy time, yo, sleepy."
yeah.
But he's kind of got a little fire. But now
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know how to approach Cole.
Yeah. Where do you think he
because,
goes from here?
I think he still makes music. I think he's
no,
still
sure, but like,
barring-
do you think he'll like if his next song or album is talking tough, won't people be like,
I don't-
no.
I don't think that he'll.
I think J.
I don't
Cole
think
needs-
he'll have that approach, and I think that he'll back up his statement like, "This was best for me." Mm-hmm. I think that that's the best. Just being him, I think that that's the route.
Don't get it twisted. What he did was like the adult move, right?
yeah,
But it's
for
just
sure.
like we're not.
We're in the
just
schoolyard.
Yeah,
We're in the schoolyard.
We're scrapping.
We're like,
We're
"Oh, 3
scrapping.
o'clock, it's 3
yeah.
o'clock."
You guys are assholes. You guys are instigators at school.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm that guy who's like, go punch him in the face. I'm not gonna fight, but go punch that guy in the face. You heard me
Your
saying?
mom's a bitch. Go fight him.
Wait. Has everyone here watched Game of Thrones?
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you? No.
Hate it.
You hate it. Okay. I'm gonna do a reference. You're not gonna get this.
No, I know about it. But
Okay.
Don't.
To me, J. Cole is Ned Stark.
Okay.
Him being noble and a good
weakness.
person is his weakness.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is Ned Stark. His honesty, his earnestness,
It's so true.
got him killed.
You were still up there.
Right.
Like, you were top dog, but
And he's
you're not
actually
gonna get
the strongest and smartest motherfucker up there.
Yeah.
Ned Stark
Best
was
hard
a dad,
election.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a
and
dad.
he just
Yes.
trusted the wrong people, and he was trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. But what happened was, when he got out the picture, it became against Cersei and Khaleesi, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Okay, wait. So let's keep going. So,
Yeah.
so who is Kendrick?
Kendrick, we have to think about. We have the Queen of Dragons, and then we have Cersei. I think,
Well, I think Khaleesi and Kendrick probably the same height, so we can.
yeah. But I think Kendrick is the Queen of Dragons,
Okay.
and I think maybe
Drake
Cersei. Drake is like that old. He's been the king for a while. He's
Yeah.
had reign for a while. The Lannisters have had money.
Don't fuck with me,
Yeah,
sort of shit.
The Lannisters
but like,
pay their debts.
Yeah.
Like, we got money. I got money behind
That's
me.
great. That's
I have an empire behind me. I have multiple empires that depend on us.
I like this Game of Thrones shit, yeah.
So Drake is the Lannisters, and he's Cersei, and like Kendrick is like he's the
Coming from
Queen of
another,
Dragons, right.
from West Coast, another land. No, but I'm happy you brought up Get Out before too.
And also, wait, here's another thing: the Queen of Dragons is alone.
Right.
Kendrick doesn't have TDE no more.
Yeah.
But remember what she did was she went and enlisted that army.
yeah,
So
she
I don't know if
enlisted
he's
the
gonna go
army.
get help. He's gonna.
Well,
that's what he did.
That's future
Yeah, he
Metro.
just went and got-
That's
yeah,
future Metro. Game of
That's
Thrones.
right.
This is the clip.
The
That's-
Battle of Thrones.
Whoa, bro! She went and got
Yeah.
that whole army, Khal Drogo and the Dothraki. That's
What that?
you
Yeah.
turn all them.
That's future. That's Metro. That's
throne.
everywhere.
The
Great
throne,
man,
man,
that's
the throne.
genius. I love it.
Game of Thrones.
You're a
bro.
storyteller.
Because I always saw like everyone was shitting on Cole, and I'm like, yo, he's honestly, he has the best heart out of everybody.
Totally. Him as a man,
Yeah.
it's like, yo, I respect you.
But look at,
the
like-
rapper, it's like, well, we wanted more, you know?
That's been his whole thing, his whole career. Going to college,
Yeah.
having debt and all this shit, being the dude you could relate to. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, do I really want this? Like,
But then you know what he should have done? Nothing. Then he shouldn't have even put it out.
But he already did it though.
Yeah,
yeah, it was too
He already
late.
did it. It was too
But
late.
it's the pressure around for your boys.
I mean, even
He addressed first person shooter, so it's like what can you do?
Right.
He
I mean,
addressed
even in that, he says, like, I love you, brother, and I'm hesitant to do this. Like, if you're saying that in your battle,
Well,
you
he
can't-
says
don't even put it out.
It's the New Jack City part where he needs to kill him. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to do this shit. No. And it's understandable.
So you were saying about Get Out. What were you thinking about the whole?
Well,
thing?
so Get Out, I remember, I think it was Get Out. There was a time where someone on social media, a fan, posted and was like, oh, the reason why the door was purple is because purple represents and was going in, like you say, right?
Right.
And Jordan Peele responded and was like, I just like the color purple.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
all that shit is not, and listen, I know Kendrick does go deep and there's levels to it, but I think sometimes whether it's the Grammys or the fan base or whatever is sometimes just like they create this
They overanalyze.
perception,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. And it's like Drake, it's the problem is he's so much prolific. So there's for one introspective song, there's 50 fucking pop hits.
Yeah.
But when Drake, goes in talking about his life and his struggles and all that shit, like there's some deep stuff there. It's hard because he's, this Canadian child actor. It's not like he came from the struggle, but there's, he has his own substance there. I just think it's very interesting how, one guy can be doing songs with Maroon 5 and Taylor Swift, but be considered like the deepest hip hop, in the game, and then the other guy is the pop one. It's like, I don't know.
Simplicity is underrated. Just
Yeah.
making it plain, just making it simple and digestible it's very it's nuanced, because you can come off very, very cheesy, or you can come off where you're so on point that everybody gets it. Mm-hmm. And it's very underrated to be able to do it and not be cheesy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that Drake has kind of mastered that. Like, I'll give you 50 Cent. 50 Cent says, shoot a person, Get Rich or Die Trying is a classic.
Yeah.
Simple messaging,
Plays.
but was expertly done. Anybody else trying to do that messaging it doesn't feel as authentic. It doesn't feel as good. You get what I'm saying? So it's really underrated. That 50 Cent, oh, he wasn't saying nothing, but he was just talking about shooting and this, that. But look how he did it. You know what I mean?
Being able to have everybody from every walk of life get it or like it, there's value in that.
It's funny how like Many Men is like going viral right now.
I mean, that's just
Like-
been going on for the last 4 years.
like 20-year-old girls are singing Many Men right now.
But it's a very simple song,
Yeah.
though. It's a very simple
But it's
song, but it's digestible and it's very I wouldn't say even relatable, but
It is
it's
relatable.
so to a point where he nails it that even people that aren't of that can get it.
But he's saying some real fucking, like, he got hit like I got hit, but he ain't fucking breathing. Like, come on.
Yo, again, as a white kid, I was probably maybe freshman year of high school, skinny, scrawny white kid at that point living in Westchester, like cannot relate at all. But it's almost like watching an action movie where it's like, oh shit, I wish I could. Like, I wish I was tough like that. So, like, you know, anybody can relate to something like that as long as you say it clever, you say it with, you know. And he had the whole backstory. I mean, it was perfect. It's like creating if you were to create a player for a rapper, it would be his backstory, his reputation, his size, his style. Like, that is perfect for everybody in that game.
I want to love Kendrick. Like, I try to love his work.
Yo, you
no,
sound
like,
crazy.
Yeah, no.
Why don't you love me, Kendrick? I'm the same way. I always listen. I always try, and I just don't.
Like, I remember listening to Pimp a Butterfly. Like,
That's a bad album.
no. Listen, like, I wanted to, like, I was getting mad at myself that I wasn't absorbing this correctly, and I literally listened to it like 4 or 5 times. And I was just like, I don't like it. But I was blaming myself for not liking it.
Eventually, though, it's like,
And it's just like,
it's just
I
not
don't
for
like
me.
it.
Yeah, it's just not for me. I'm not going to force this anymore.
And it was almost like giving me a headache because
Yeah.
I was just like, no, I'm telling you. And that's sometimes what Kendrick does. You just kind of like,
well, the alien voices start,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, I'm done. I can't do it.
I get excited. Like, I used to get excited. Like, oh, let me hear this Kendrick verse. And then like all his features just disappoint me.
And what I think it is,
You know?
is the fact that he's getting so much credit from the media and the critics that they'll do that and then they kind of disregard everything else because they got their savior.
Because if you look at,
You know what I mean?
if you look at Cole and Drake, they're like 10 out of 10 on features
Yes.
most of the time. Like at least 9 out of 10.
J. Cole's perfect.
Like J. Cole when he was
They
doing
always
that
steal the
feature,
song.
when he was doing features and he was just going
that
on
was
records,
his song at the end of the day.
he was just murdering it. And then when you hear Kendrick, you're like,
Even first person shooter stole
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
stole that.
But like Kendrick, I mean, like just like we were just talking. There's maybe 2 songs where he went off. You mentioned Fucking Problems, and I said New Freezer. Maybe like
That was a great one.
And then I'm trying to think of something else.
New Freezer?
He went off on that.
off on that.
He did
the rich
good,
kid.
but he
the
wasn't-
rich kid.
nah.
But then he was on a Travis Scott song, and we never played that verse.
No, he was on Travis Scott. That was a good song he was on.
Yeah, but he
How
didn't
much
do
do
that.
you guys ever play? I mean,
He didn't do that.
No, was it Goosebumps? Oh, no.
Yeah, we don't play that shit.
Wait,
Goosebumps is
I'm
hard.
sure you're playing like that, right? But like,
Yeah,
that is hard.
how much Kendrick are you ever playing in your whole career?
I mean, I think in New York it's different from the West Coast.
Oh, okay. Because I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I was like, I can't even think. I
maybe
can't even imagine it being at a
4
party.
songs, and I'm gonna give
Like ever, right? You're talking like ever?
Like
I'm gonna say-
if we were on the West Coast, this would be a different conversation.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of
getting run
LA
outta here.
motherfuckers here.
Yeah.
But I believe that the albums that he's made as an album,
Yeah.
I come from that class, like the Ice
That's
Cube,
where I come from.
the DLC album, like the how it's put together. I think he's made 4 classics.
No, he's made great albums, but like
He doesn't make the best club songs, so it's a
Same.
different way.
Yeah, but-
how I listen to.
I don't know what the word is. What is it like? There's somewhere in between. I think it's corny when people say like you can't play it when you're in your car or you can't play it at the club. But
Right.
there is something to like listenability. Maybe what you were talking about before being a little more simple. But like I can respect that it's put together well and the music and sonically and all that shit. But I'm just like, I don't know. It just doesn't hit. And I don't know if I can't maybe articulate it well.
Well,
There's a
no,
difference.
yeah.
And then there are guys who can do all that shit, but also make it a hit. Maybe it's production. Maybe it's maybe it's a style thing on East Coast, West Coast. But there is something about Kendrick that's like, you'll win all the Grammys. You'll get all the praise. But at the end of the day, why does it not translate to...
Y'all just got to remember that one song that Kendrick was on with Lil Wayne. and he was crying on the song. He was doing this like crying voice, and I was just like, "What the?"
Yeah, the alien voices, all that
was
shit's
doing,
weird
like,
to me.
He was
But I guess some
doing
people
this,
love
like,
it.
He was doing this cadence of him like having a breakdown and crying on it, and I was like, in his head, I was just like, "Yo, all you had to do was just kill it.
Just
You didn't need to be that experimental and go all out. You on a song
rap.
with Lil Wayne."
But see, the thing is,
You know?
I think the expectation is where we're at with hip hop is that we want things that the people that are actually doing it don't.
Yeah.
That's
so
where
true.
we're at.
It's so true.
See, I've listened to music for a very long time, so
Yeah,
I've heard the best. I've heard the best albums. It's almost like we're never gonna get that back. So you just have to appreciate what you get from what you're getting from the people that you're getting it from.
So you like a lot of new age rappers?
Like, yeah, I do because I appreciate what they do.
Okay, but
for
that's
the time
different.
that
Do you
they
like
do
it?
I do like it because
Yeah,
I play it and stuff of
Right.
that nature. I enjoy it, but I enjoy it for the reasons I enjoy them, not because I like Biggie. You know what I mean? It's not the same
Right.
thing. I'm not gonna get the same
so
thing.
like if you were not in the industry, if you're not thinking about it on the level that you probably do, would you listen to that music today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a perfect
I
example.
can't. I
Kev,
try. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was saying this week. I was like, I feel like I got hip hop back this week.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was ready to cry. I'm like, I haven't been able to do this.
he texted us like, "I'm
'Cause
fucking feeding."
I'm ready to go because
Yeah.
this the other like the shit that the kids are listening to. I got so many younger people at Barstool that are like, I remember when there was an argument about Young Thug versus Hove, and the amount
Yeah.
of people at Barstool were like this is just no contest, and I was like, yeah, you're fucking telling me. And they were saying it the other way. They were like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were
Young
like,
Thug was
they were like
smoking
old
Hov.
man Jay-Z, like get
Nobody's listening
him
to that
out of
shit.
here.
Right,
And I was like,
right.
are you trying to tell me that Young Thug is better than Jay? I was going crazy, and that was like it's only gotten worse in years to come.
I
Because
feel like Alex, you think Young Thug's better than Jay-Z.
They're just different.
he's not.
To his fairness, he lives in Atlanta, so it's a little different.
Yeah. And I forget that sometimes. There was a time where like hip hop was just like only New York, that like nothing else mattered.
That was a great era. That was the early 2000s. Great.
I'll give you a perfect example of like from a DJ perspective of like as DJs how we can appreciate the music when typically you would hear the song and be like, what the fuck is this garbage?
Yeah.
For example, Ice Spice, right? You think you're the shit, bitch. You only fart,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why are we bringing this up right now?
Bring this up. We bring this up because we had a conversation about this record and how when we played this record in the club, when the beat hits in, we even as us as DJs are like, oh, this shit is hitting.
Yeah, I
hard.
can imagine that.
Like,
I
you
can
know,
imagine that.
But
yeah.
it's just one of those joints where you're like,
Yeah.
this is one of the most ridiculous records ever. But
it
just
plays
hard.
Well,
And
I
it
try to
sounds
remember
good,
that
it
about
feels good.
myself. Like even with I feel like old Kanye and new Kanye is like the most cliche of all when it comes to new and old rap.
Yeah.
And I think there's again, even though it's subjective, I think there's a definitive better Kanye when he's younger versus older. But then I remind myself that like old Kanye, I was at like a party or I was in college or I was having a great time while listening to this music. And new Kanye, I was like, changing diapers and like, up late at night with my newborn kids, trying to listening on my AirPods like as low as can be. And it's like, well, of course I'm going to think differently about that
This
music.
the
'cause I'm
experience
not-
is different.
Yeah.
And
It's
the way I look at it is like movies, like Kentucky Fried Movies, like incredible. But I don't look at Kentucky Fried Movie or fucking that the same way I'm looking for when I watch The Godfather.
Yeah.
But they're both movies. I can enjoy both, but I'm enjoying them for different things.
You trying to find the medium and what you would like in that thing.
Yeah, so I kind of
and
judge
both-
it on its own merit.
And both are kind of groundbreaking.
Yeah.
In its own
Yeah.
lane, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so let me ask you this: when I think that new rap is, whether you want to call it mumble rap or drill or whatever, is almost like entirely different from what I grew up on.
Of course.
But when it went from like 80s rap to 90s rap, was that felt the same way?
Very much so.
So people within the 80s who were like,
you gotta
this,
think about this.
this shit from Jay-Z and Nas is trash.
Run DMC is one of the greatest groups ever, right? They came out in 83.
Yeah.
But they were pretty much over in 87. If you really think about
They
it.
had a 4-year run.
That's crazy.
I mean, you talk about the top of the top. The top of the top of the top of the top of the top is Run DMC from 83 to 87. Now, that's not blasphemous. Run DMC is still big when they come out with Run's House, but that's 88. But that point, you had KRS, you had Eric B and Rakim, you had
it shifted.
It
so
shifted.
Much.
So we have to start thinking, but more collectively as far as how hip hop goes in these phases. That you're never gonna get it the way that you got it 4 years ago.
Don't you think you could say though that what KRS and Rakim and them like did it better? Like the flows were more complex and it was more.
It's not better. It's not better. It's the technology. It's the life. What's going on? It's a different era in life. Yeah. You have to talk about different things that they weren't talking about. They were come on, hip hop. Yeah, right. You're doing that in '82. You're doing that in you're doing that. But I'm pretty sure that the message, if NWA says something, it's as potent as the message, but it's not the same lingo, it's not the same type of beat, not the same approach, you know?
Yeah,
but you're still getting
but it's speaking to a newer generation.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like, here's the funny thing, Kev. I never knew this, and Skills actually explained this to us. Like, I didn't know, like, when Rakim came out, motherfuckers were hating on him.
That's crazy.
Like, when they heard Rakim, they're like, yo, he has no energy. Right. He sounds dead. You know, like, right? They were kind of like, they were saying, all the old school heads were like, yo, this dude is like, he sounds like he's sleep. They were like shitting on Rakim.
Because in my mind, I was thinking it kind of went from that like bop, 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 bop.
Right.
You know, and when you said, you know, to
whole different
like rhyming, you know, like 8 or 9 syllables and like this whole rhyme scheme. Whereas I feel like now the new age stuff like went backwards, but I guess if it's not backwards or forwards, it's just different directions. But to me, I'm like, I don't even try anymore. I used to, like, albums come out that, like, you know, people tell me, you know, the younger kids, like, this guy's next or whatever. And I used to try. And now I'm just like, I don't bother anymore. I'm just going to go put on the same records I've been listening to for 30 fucking years, man. Yeah.
Dust the old records off.
Yeah.
What's your favorite artist and album of all time?
My favorite artist is cliche, but it's probably Hove.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your favorite? What's his best album for you?
To me, there's the three of Blackout, Blueprint, and Reasonable Doubt are my.
I think that's everybody's
on a different day. I would probably say probably Blueprint, Reasonable Doubt, Blackout would be mine is, but it's like 1A, 1B, 1C in my world. I think my favorite album of all time is a little bit of a curveball. I think Moment of Truth. Gangsta.
Good.
I like that. I love Premier. I love Premier.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, that to me, I think producers should get so much more credit than they do in the rap world. Even I mean, I know we all know their names and they're all famous in their own right, but I think every single song should almost be featuring if you produce it. You know what I mean? Because it's so important to, especially at least with like pop rap, where it's like that guy was just as important, if not more, than the guy singing on it. So that Premier to me and I think Moment of Truth.
I think the technology would make that obsolete, where you couldn't possibly do that because there's so many different producers on a project now.
Okay.
It's not
it's not just like one guy.
Duos like, you know, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, or Gangstar, where this guy's doing and curating the whole album. I think that kind of went out the window with Illmatic.
But it'd be pretty cool to be like
with Illmatic. So that long ago, it stopped where it was like it became almost everybody.
Like, let's assemble like
Well, like Illmatic was the first album where like they got all the best producers to just work on one album. And it was before, it was kind of like the NBA in like maybe the 90s, where you had like a star on every team.
Yeah.
Like every team had a star.
Sure. Right.
So like Pete Rock was CL Smooth, and they just did their shit. And then their crew, and their crew kind of like they produced for their crew. And then you had Premier, and then you had Gangstar, but then you had J. Rue the Damager, then you had Group Home, and that was their crew. And then you had like, you know, Tribe Called Quest.
Sure.
And then you had Daylight, and it's like everyone had their own producers, but it wasn't like now where I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get like one song from all the best.
And
producers.
Illmatic was the first one that
Illmatic
did
was
that.
the first.
Illmatic was the first super team in hip
No
hop.
fucking wonder it's that good. And now it makes sense.
Illmatic was like,
But why for him? 'Cause
like LeBron and Miami Heat, right? When he put that super
together.
team, that super team.
What was Nas just so highly regarded that like because he was young at that
Very
point,
much
right?
so.
It was
Very
so
much.
even just coming out of the gates, they were like, he's good enough to get
Yeah.
a beat from this guy, this
Very,
guy, this guy.
very much so. And everybody wants to.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's one thing, Nas once he's established, but you don't really know at that point that he's going to be what he.
It was
became,
almost being billed as the Thriller of rap,
well,
but it just didn't. The sales didn't.
sales didn't, but
Yeah,
the lore of it.
But
did.
the lore of it and the aura of it.
So when it came out, though, were they considering it a flop?
No, they didn't consider it a flop. They considered it a classic. It was a 5-micer, but
But sales-wise.
sales wise,
So there were people who were like disappointed, or they were just
yeah,
like,
big time.
I mean, the label
Yeah,
was
right. That's what I mean.
And then it became bootleg. There was bootleg.
Sure,
a lot.
sure.
But he in this situation is similar to where Kendrick is. He was the media darling.
Yeah.
Nas was the
Yes,
media darling.
totally.
So, and this is
Wow.
where the dichotomy kind of repeats itself.
Okay, yeah.
So you have Nas as the media darling, but then you have the Bigs and the Jay-Z's as the Puff made big.
Yep.
And then you have the conversation with Jay's. Oh, he's not really a rapper. He really actually. It took him a while for Jay to actually get into that conversation. Jay put himself in that conversation. It was really at the top. If you really want to be technical, if we're being technical,
Yeah.
Tupac was that other
Tupac,
third
Biggie,
person.
Nas, yeah, right.
It was really Tupac, Biggie, Nas. And then when Pac unfortunately passed, Jay puts himself into that, I'm the third guy.
That longevity that those two didn't get to. Like I think it would be very interesting if Biggie had 10 albums, 12 albums, like there'd be a couple duds, there'd be a couple Magna Cartas, there'd be a couple
Magna
and
Cartas.
how do you view it then?
I forgot how bad. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I just forgot how disappointed motherfuckers were in Magna Carta.
I thought it was cool, but it wasn't like,
I think there was a lot wrong with that album. I think the rollout and the hooking up with the phones and all this other
The
stuff was
Samsung
hard
deal.
to get. It was
Right.
It was a lot of hype with it. It was like Magna Carta. Like, what does this have to do with Jay-Z?
I also feel like was that when he was kind of transitioning to like mega mogul money.
Yeah,
right?
because he
'Cause it
was
was
doing all
late
these
in his
corporate
career.
deals and stuff like that. It was like
where like I think now he's figured it out. 444, he was kind of like looking back on it, introspective, and had that. At that point, I feel like he didn't have much to say anymore.
I thought the rollout was like. I thought the rollout was.
I
whack.
thought that commercial was insane.
We're gonna put your phone and you're gonna get in your phone and we're gonna count it.
I thought that commercial was insane. With Rick Rubin sleeping on the couch.
It seemed like a hustle. It seemed like a scam to
it felt
to
like
say,
I got paid to make this album.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
felt like
yeah.
a scam to say like it went platinum the first week.
No,
because
it went platinum the first day.
Yeah, the first
yeah,
day.
but it was
Because
like
it was the phone.
crammed in. Yeah, right.
It was like you two went platinum too, and that shit we didn't even ask for that.
Yeah.
That shit was on
Yeah,
the
right. Because that was just embedded in your iPod or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up. I was like, "What the
Wait,
fuck?"
Prince kind of did that too with his musicology album. where
No, he had it so if you go to the concert, you get a free
if
CD.
you buy a ticket,
You get
but
the album.
that's genius.
But he did
I
the
think
merch
that's
thing
genius.
Didn't
too, right?
Travis did that with t-shirts,
That's
right?
genius.
And that
That's
because his
genius.
merch was wanted people more than the music. So
I see Travis as an influencer more
totally.
now than an artist.
That actually, what did you think as a sneaker guy, like when Travis all of a sudden was like sent to like this level of you have to have his shoes and his are the hottest, and I did like some of them, but it felt like where other guys you had to be on top for a while or in the game for a while or absolute star ball player or rapper, and all of a sudden it was just like boom, you have to have Travis's.
Well, the thing was that Kanye in 2012, 2013, I would say, right, Kirk, like when he would come out, like you wouldn't see Kanye much. But when he would come out, he had a dope outfit. And then you always look at what shoes he's wearing.
Sure.
He made like some Air Max, United, like USA 4th of July Air Max look like the greatest shoe of all time. And they were like $140 and then they'll reselling for like $900. But when Kanye kind of took a step back in that, Travis took advantage of that and
Filled
like
that hole,
slide himself there.
And he's still in the same, the
same camp, same shit.
aquarium. You know what I mean?
But also and I remember getting him this shoe It was the Mocha 3 Jordan 3, the Jordan 3 Mocha Mocha colorway, and this is like a cream color white leather based shoe, and then it has like the little brown around it. He took that color and he put it into Jordan 1. He flipped the swoosh, which hasn't really been done outside of LeBron and stuff and other things, I'm sure.
Dude, that fucked up my head when I first saw that.
When he flipped the swoosh, it kind of looked like you never seen a brown shoe look that high quality.
Yeah.
The flipped on the thing, it kind of was around the off-white Virgil Abloh, like that collection. It was kind of like you were just reversing, remixing what we were just used to.
Well, he made chocolate like
the Mocha colorway.
Yeah, he made chocolate like a nice color, like a nice color,
like a very
desirable
color. But again, it came from just asking, "Yo, do you have this?" And then 11 or 10 and a half, whatever he was at the time, he said, "Do you have this?" And then after that, I guess he probably was looking at the shoe and was like, and then everything that colorway became, from hats to shirts to fucking everything. But it did take that moment where Kanye took a step back. And I think just being, because at that time in 2012, 2013, Kanye was still with Nike. But once he got with Adidas, his shit was like fucking everywhere.
Well, you also got to look at it from another perspective, which is Nike just got desperate. And they offered a bag to all of the people in Kanye's circle.
Surroundings.
Sure.
But Travis'
Anybody he's
music was
close to.
hot though, man. You can't take away from the music. He was hot.
But they came in right at the right time. It was a perfect time. It was right before Astro World, right after Birds Trapped or whatever the name of that second album is. At that height, he couldn't be touched.
Cactus Jack was
Yeah. And then Kanye kind of he was going quote unquote crazy, and nobody wanted to put his name on shit, so it was just like he just slid right in and
it's a perfect storm.
Perfect storm.
You think Kanye speaks up at all during this Drake Kendrick?
He tried.
Yeah. What did he do?
Did he?
He said he smoked Kendrick in some record. Yeah, he said that.
I missed that.
Yeah.
No, that was
No more parties in LA.
No more parties.
Yeah, no more parties in line. He said, I smoked Kendrick. And I was like, okay, Kanye.
I think he kind of did though.
He smoked him?
But did you write it, though? That's the question.
I mean, I don't know, man.
How many? Can you clean this up? Like, how many people, when you reach the top level of rap, are using reference tracks and writers?
No comment.
You don't have to say names, but like, is it a decent
It's
chunk?
happened a lot more than
And you realize, right? Yeah.
Would you say 8 times out of 10, Goldy, you think?
I would say 6 that you see, 2 that you don't, and other 2 is like.
Give me a name who doesn't.
Cole.
I think
Cole,
Cole.
like, is Cole writes all his own shit?
I think Cole.
I think that.
And I'm not talking about. I'm sure maybe like your boys give you a hook or something, but like someone sits down and writes it for you.
But people that are of that ilk, even if you give them a hook, it's kind of like I write for them.
No, but
Yeah,
we've heard reference tracks for Drake. We've heard reference tracks for Kendrick. We've never heard a reference track for J. Cole. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but do you think that affects their greatness?
I think if you're an MC, people.
I think
take that
MC's
very
different.
seriously.
Crooked
But wouldn't MCs be the people? I feel like fans think that, but wouldn't MCs be like, yeah, we all do this? Or most of us do this?
Well, I haven't been out it, so it's like if I haven't been out about it, then it's not me. It's
Like
it's a
if
little
Drake had
dynamic.
some shit about like Kendrick not writing his rhymes.
Well, that's what's starting to come out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the reference
So like
coming out.
that's
What's the first diss record that became a club hit? Hit 'em up?
No Vaseline was played in the clubs.
No Vaseline.
wow. That's some hardcore
Goddamn,
shit to be in the club.
Y'all were running that in New York? Wow.
That's great.
Bro,
Ice Cube was huge.
Good on
in
you,
New York,
man.
bro.
That's great.
No, I know everyone, like, they were huge Ice Cube fans. I didn't know No Vaseline was getting played
That
in New York.
Jacking for Beats, all that stuff got
all the
played.
first
We
album
love
was
Cube
Bomb
out here.
Squad. That's why, right?
Yeah.
America's Most Wanted was all mainly Bomb Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was home base for him for a bit.
See, like, in like the last, I don't know, 10 or, 15 years, I would say back to back is.
Oh yeah, that was
one of the
yeah.
first diss songs besides Hit 'Em Up that was still relevant that we could play in a club.
I feel like that's almost as important now. Is
But here's-
like you
yeah.
it's gotta be mainstream so it gets everywhere, so
But
everyone's listening to it and everyone knows what you're saying.
The question is, like, is that a good song? Is it a dope song?
Which one?
Back to back?
Yeah. Is it a dope song? And then would it what if you heard that Drake didn't write it? Like I heard rumors that Nav wrote the whole shit. Nav wrote the roast shit.
Oh, that I remember.
See, like I don't mind that.
Huh? I don't believe that.
No, I've heard.
Yeah, I feel like
because when all this shit started, Nav unfollowed Drake, and he did all this extra shit. And I think,
hey yo, if you did, write your own back to back.
Right.
Yo,
I don't believe.
I'm with you on that.
Don't believe.
You created Hove, make another Hove.
If you had a writer for some of your pop shit, some of your hits, like whatever. If it comes out that some of your battles or some of your like deep, meaningful raps are written by somebody else, and that's a very different situation. But I just don't believe that.
It's funny. I hear these like Lil Yachty reference tracks or these like Cash Cobain reference tracks for Drake, and I'm just like, yo, I would thank God Drake fucking sang this shit. Like I don't want to hear like these reference tracks. Everyone was like, "Yo, Lil Yachty killed it." I'm like, "Did he though?"
It's like you made it hot long.
We also have to bring up the fact that now the factor is the AI thing. We can get into that.
God.
That's such a pain in the ass right
Dude,
now.
I'm like,
the
is
worst.
it true? Is it not true? I'm looking at your video to see if you have the right source.
I know. Half the time, I don't know. I feel like also it like kind of ruins, like if Kendrick does come out with something, let's say he takes like another week, 2, however long, and there's a couple more AI things, and it just kind of ruins when it does drop. Because first of all, you question whether it's real or not, and then it's almost like, well, what if some of the bars from the fake one were better, and it just muddies the whole waters. I hate it.
Well, that's the thing.
Beyond a rap battle, as a podcaster, how do you feel about the fact that you can have a deep fake or you can have a AI situation?
Game. It's a slippery slope, man. It's a dangerous game. You can make anything, look real or to deep fakes. It used to be pictures, right? Now you can do videos and everything where it's like the average person is not going to go, hang on, wait a minute, we got to check if it's AI, we got to check if it's this. Most people just run with whatever it is. And it's like that's how like drama starts. That's how rumors start and all that shit.
It gets even scarier because it's like election year. So how are they going to do that for elections? And then it's even scarier because there's so many wars going on right now.
A person can say something.
I hope it's only hip hop, right?
Well, like
I hope it's only social media.
The shit that we see
we could see a world leader say something and it be a deep fake, and nobody knows it.
But the damage
could be.
But the damage it does in the first 12 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Once it's proven to be AI, it's like the horse is out of the barn, man. There's half of America is already like, did you see that video? And
well, that was the thing with the Drake that first one that came out. We're like, is it AI or is it him? And then when he sent it to academics, we needed to wait till academics confirmed it to be like, oh, this is
academics cracks me up, man. He cracks me up. There's some characters in the rap world. I thought, what did you think of Ross?
I just don't take it seriously.
Yeah. I think it's a much more like fun aspect of the battle. Like I feel like those two won't necessarily have bad blood.
I feel
forever.
like he's like the drunk uncle just talking shit.
Yeah.
Like kind of like
but it was funny. He spit a couple bars and the rest of it. I saw a post Complex put up. Yesterday he posted 32 Instagram stories about Drake.
Yeah, he did.
Well, they've been jabbing each other for years.
Forever. Yeah.
I didn't.
It's under the surface. A lot of the stuff is under the surface. I think it's a lot of frenemies in the game.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's a lot of frenemies, a lot of positioning. I'm hanging out with him because, and it's a lot of positioning. And I don't think a lot of it has to do with rap. I think it has to do more with girls.
I was gonna say, man, women. The women. It's all roads lead back to that.
If it has to do with Drake, it has to do with bitches.
Yep. There's a lot of pillow talk. A lot of incestuous
ego shit. Yeah,
totally.
Ego shit, and pretty much it's like, oh, it's about this girl. She used to be with me. I used to be with her. I didn't know that these guys were dealing with each other. So it's a lot of that.
I think the weakest shit is like, I fucked a girl before you. It's like that's what we're coming with for this battle.
That was the Jay-Z Kanye shit. That was the Chris Brown Drake.
It's always girls, man.
Wait, the Kanye and Jay-Z was about girls?
Jay-Z and Nas. Jay-Z and Kanye?
Jay-Z and Kanye. Remember the Kanye came out with Big Brother. There was like a little bit of a beef there.
Mm-hmm.
It was over a girl.
Oh.
That's crazy.
You could bleep the name, but it was.
I mean, I learned like as a podcaster and a blogger, which is like the lamest shit in the world. We're bloggers, right? We're basically just like internet nerds, right? There's enough like behind the scenes drama, and I don't want to say beef, but just like little things like you said, positioning and posturing. And that is a fraction of the industry we're talking about with rap and the amount of money and ego. So like if it's happening on my level, or I'm sure in the DJ space there's politics going on, can you imagine what's happening at the top of the biggest, most macho, ego inflated, money inflated industry in the world? I'm sure it's all as ugly as it gets.
Does it get too much when you're like, you know, I look at like your videos and your reels and your TikToks. Do you know how to cherry pick what you're gonna like talk about?
I feel like I got a pretty good gauge on it now.
Yeah.
I'll make videos about this rap stuff like for myself because I just want to talk about it.
Right.
Those probably aren't going to pop off. I can usually tell celebrity gossip's going to blow up. Like if you talk about this person or that person, that'll blow up. So I have a pretty good radar for that. So sometimes I do it just for like the shit I want to talk about, and other times it's like this is gonna go.
What's off limits?
I try to stay away from politics. I don't really fuck with that. I'm not very informed, so like, I'm not gonna speak on shit
It gets relentless though. Do you ever get tired?
It's the worst. And you know what? You know how I know I'm doing it right? I've been called a liberal pussy and a fucking conservative devil. So I'm like, if both sides are saying that about me, I'm probably somewhere in the middle, which I think is where the normal people are.
Yeah.
So I'm good, but I just think there's so many people who speak uninformed about things.
Are you just so used to creating content it doesn't get tiring for you? Or
making the content does not.
It does.
It's like I remember Ray Lewis used to say. Sunday I play for free, but Monday through Saturday at practice, that's what you pay me for, and then Sunday you get for free.
That's what's up.
And I feel like when I'm in the booth or put the mic in front of me, and like it's like therapy for me. It's a hangout for me. It's fun. It's good. What does wear you down is like the social media shit, haters and trolls.
You read the comments?
I do. Anybody who says they don't are fucking liars. They're all fucking liars.
How do you handle the comments? Because I actually want to talk to you about this. I have a great, very zen approach
That's
to
a
the
good
comments.
start. Yeah.
But I'm curious to.
So when I say I read it, I'm not like I don't post it and then like go there and like scroll. But it's like anybody who says they don't see the top comment that says like "fuck you, you suck," and then you open that up and you see whether some people are agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
I think the first step is like limiting it for sure, because if you sit there and you scroll, you will.
You find what you want.
You'll find what you're looking for.
And find what you don't want.
Yes, for sure. My rule is like, and I think I'm very polarizing. I don't know. I'm a loudmouth New Yorker. I talk a lot. I run my mouth a lot. I have opinions on things, and I say it. And so that's, I get a lot of people who agree with me, but then a lot of people who disagree with me. So there's always going to be, the other side of things. My rule is, I just don't let it change what I do.
Really?
I think if people like, I never read the comments, I just either don't believe them, or I think I don't even like. On some level, you should see the feedback, because sometimes there are some things you should know about your fan base. But the minute that you're like, I want to make this video, or I'm going to say this about Drake, or I'm going to write this thing, and then you're like, but wait, they're gonna tell me I suck. They're gonna say blah blah blah, and then you hold back. Then you lost. Then they've won. Then a bunch of anonymous people. I tell this to the younger people at Barstool, because it's hard. You want to be liked. So a lot of times you do like the low hanging fruit. You come to Barstool and there's one guy who's like a punching bag, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna write a blog making fun of him too. I'm gonna gang up and get all those people to like me. And it's like, that shit doesn't last. You know what I mean? Like trying to please the commenters or the feedback. It's not a long game. And I always tell them, you start reading comments, you start to hesitate, you start to play scared.
Yeah.
In the long run, that means you're doing your job worse and you make less money. So at the end of the day, you sitting there scrolling, not only is it just fucking with you on a day-to-day level, but like you are going to make less money at your job by letting these people affect you. And I hope that usually gets through to them. But man, it's tough. It's like it's a dirty game out there, man.
For sure.
Especially in the Barstool world. Like we are a subset of the internet that is like, they love you a lot, but they hate you. There's the haves and the have-nots, and there's sides that people like, and it's like wrestling. You know, there's like wrestlers that you like and wrestlers that you hate. That's us.
It's ruthless. It's like the shit they say is like brutal.
Bro, I was on YouTube in the mid 2010s, and goddamn those comments, bro. Like the
You know what though?
shit.
I don't mind like some shit being like, I'm gonna kill you, like you fuck you, like I'm gonna find you and kill you. I'm like, whatever, dude. It's the people who like get you with like some shit that makes you self conscious. You know
Like
what
what?
I mean?
Like what?
Like they'll like if there was one time where it was
The Knicks suck.
yeah, that shit I don't mind. There was one podcast where it was like I think it was I had like 3 like really good comedians on, you know?
Yeah.
And it said something like, this must be killing him that he's, you know, the least funny guy at the table. And I remember the whole time I was doing the podcast, I was like, yo, I'm the least funny guy at the table. Like, you know, and I was like, fuck, like he saw right through my soul, dude. Or they pick up on the, you know, like, oh, your hairline's starting to go. I'm like, yes, it is. Fuck, man, you know, shit like that.
Yeah,
So
I've been called fat. I remember I posted a picture of my mom, and they're like, yo, my bitch is looking good. I'm like, God damn. Never posted my mom after that. Fuck you guys.
that's another game. Like you got to be very careful about how much you put out there these days.
Yeah, you really got to be the privacy you cannot buy.
When I went through a divorce, but I had early days of Barstool, I just posted about my life and put pictures up and told everybody what was going on.
Right.
So then when shit went south, it was tabloid fodder for everybody, you know. And I remember being like, God damn, I can't believe people are like that into it. But it's like
You put it out there.
I put it out there.
You gave them the ammunition.
now like going forward, I don't
It's like
tell
a
anybody
roast,
anything.
right? It's like a roast. It's like everything's ammunition for them to just like
Absolutely. And I
shoot
try
at you.
to ask them like, yo, I give you like 99% of my life. Can I have like the 1%?
Right.
But then there are other people who like, you put it out there, like you can't, you know?
Yeah.
So I try to be I pick and choose what I tell and what I don't tell now, but
when
it's part of the game though. It's like I tell people at Barstool, if you're not comfortable with like some of your shit being out there, at least, probably not the place for you.
I think in the beginning we had like a couple instances where like we went viral and like the Beehive, like Beyonce's Hive went after us, and then it was like all of Nigeria went after us.
I've been there. I've been there.
Whole country.
And I remember I was trying to respond to people.
Nah, you can't, bro.
And then once you give them that attention,
Then they know.
and then everyone sees you giving them it,
Yes.
then everyone's attacks you.
Yes.
Yes.
They're worse.
And then so
you
what I've
can't-
learned is to just let it be a forum for them to just express themselves.
And honestly,
right?
that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Like sometimes there are people who I know truly don't like me and they're trying to like hurt me. But the rest of it is like, oh, you're busting balls the way that I'm busting
But
balls.
do they
and, like,
really not like you? Because they're watching the shit. So
Yeah,
it's not
well,
that
that's
they
the
don't
other
like you. It's kind of like they see something in you and them, and they don't like something in them. And they're
Insecurities.
fucking hating
and
you.
half the time, if I do say something back, they're like, shit, man, I was just playing. Like, let me grab a beer one time.
You
Like,
read
fuck
my
you.
comment? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I always tell them, I'm like, when we put some crazy shit up and it's going viral, I put my phone down. I'm like, okay, like
Let
I
it
have
be.
bigger
Yeah.
shit to worry about.
I went viral one time. I said some shit about a baseball player that was deemed insensitive, whatever it was, and I was bugging out. And I called my co-host and I was like, what should I do about this? And he was like, what? Do about what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I was like, this shit on Twitter that I'm going through. And he was like, I didn't even know it was happening.
Right.
Wow.
Because like I'm not, so he's like, you got to remember how many people are not on you can have a big platform. The world is a big place where they're not reading your comments. They're not reading your mentions. They're not reading your tweets. So it's better to put the phone down, let someone else become the main character for the day and let it move.
But it's also like Twitter is not your platform. Your podcast is your platform.
Yeah. Well,
right? And your TikTok is your platform. So it's like you gotta be like kind of like you have to protect like your opinions and your thoughts and everything you say and kind of save it for the podcast.
Sure. But also a lot of
you know?
people don't. When I'm like, I can understand why people will just look at a clip and react off that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, go listen to my hour and a half podcast. I really explain myself and flesh out the details.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
They're not gonna
And I
do
don't do that. There's certain people that listen to the podcast. There's certain people I don't. And I see that clip and I say, man, fuck that. And I'm like, I'm doing it to someone else now.
That happened to us, and God rest his soul. When Neva got sick, we were going through it. Like he got sick, he went to the hospital, and something went viral. I forgot what it was, and then my phone started blowing up. It's like, yo, you said this. I said, yo, I don't give a fuck. I have real shit
problems
going on right now.
Yeah, yep.
Fuck you for calling me and making this about you.
I do think when you go through some real life shit, the internet nonsense becomes a little bit easier. Like I said, I went through this divorce and some crazy shit where it was like messy and it was hard, and there's a lot of bullshit I let slide now because I'm just like older, wiser, tireder. Right. But if there was a situation where like Dave, my boss, was coming at me, because we've gone to battle like a lot in the past.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
About what, like sports?
Dude, we literally had a rap battle. Me and Dave had a rap battle.
You're probably the one.
I don't want to see that at all.
Nah, it's funny.
That sounds horrible.
I thought
it was about pizza.
Their relationship.
That would have been a good battle.
Their relationship's like big brother, little brother. It's like he'll say the worst shit or something. He'll clown on him, but it doesn't really mean it. And you're probably like, I mean, you've been with him for the.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there came a time it was Boston versus New York, and he was the boss and I was the employee. All his teams won, none of my teams did. And then he got like mega rich, and it was like, I'm rich, you're broke, you know, all that. I have kids, and I'm doing the dad thing. He's living like, you know, life in the club, partying. So we were opposites of each other. So my point is, like, if he came at me and I either just ducked it or I said something on a podcast, and then the next day was like, actually, I'm sorry. Good on me for like making sure my spirit is right, but my whole audience and everybody would be like, fucking pussy. And now I can't, like, the next time it happens, they're like, get out of here, you're done, you know? So I get it, but it's also like, that's gonna have ramifications for a long time, I think. At least from fans and shit like that.
As long as he's happy, it doesn't matter.
True.
Yeah, it's crazy because sometimes I'll go on like the R.O.A.D podcast YouTube, or I look at comments, and like people will go in on me, and like I think it's like I actually enjoy like reading this shit. No disrespect, like crooked, but shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. I'm a lot. I talk a lot, so I'm like,
hey, we don't need to hear your personal stories or like.
It's not about you.
Yo, for the love of God, let the guests speak. Like, and you know what? I actually like. I've learned to just kind of erase the delivery of it, and just take like the criticism and be like, yeah, like let me give them a little bit of room and like kind of like learn to do this shit.
I do the same thing. I think there's
but the delivery is horrible.
A style of it. Like, I don't know. I know several podcasters and hosts who we all get the same feedback, and I'm sure we're all loudmouths who are interrupting and talking too much.
Yeah.
But there is also like I'm cognizant of it now, and I try. And people are still, I'm like, damn, am I still interrupting? Because I feel like I am shutting the fuck up, and people are still giving me a hard time. So I feel like I'm always jumping in and agreeing or being like, let me tell you something. And I can understand why people are like, yo, shut the fuck up, you know?
Because we can't have that millisecond of silence.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yes, it really is true.
I'd rather cut off your last two words and
keep it moving.
Yeah. Instead of have that moment where everyone's like this, like, oh,
me too. The worst.
You get it, Kevin.
Yo, and I feel like also there are times I'm in the room and I'm looking at the guests and I can tell that they're about to do the like. So I keep it moving, or I'm trying to agree with you, or I'm trying to tell my own personal story that you know relates to yours. Yeah. But I can also understand why people are just like, yo, let him talk and then you talk. It's just I don't do it that way. So, but you know, it's good. Those are things that are good to you know. That's why you should read some of the comments to learn that.
I'm gonna fucking make you talk for an hour and release that as an episode.
The thing is, I don't want to talk. Like, I want to just hear like stories.
But you're very passionate. Like, you are a podcast fan. You're passionate about the shit we're talking about. So it's for me, it's like you're gonna fucking jump on somebody's words and it's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah, I think of it, if you interrupt someone, like, I'm changing the subject and like I'm not even listening to you anymore. Like that I think is different than me being like I'm excited because I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, I just said that the other day, you know. And it's like I should stop saying that and not step on your toes. So sorry if I did that today, but
no. I think it was great. I think it was great. Wait. So you're a Knicks fan? You're a New York Knicks fan?
I'm a Mets, Jets, Knicks fan. I will admit. So growing up, the Knicks were the Mets are like in my blood, my family.
What Mets era did you grow up? Like Gary Carter? Like
no, I was born in '85, so like the worst era. Like early to mid '90s. Yankees are a dynasty.
Okay. Yes.
Mets are a clown show. High school was when we went to the Subway Series, so I got like a minute, you know, a little blip.
Cool.
The thing about the Mets is like they suck and then they'll make the playoffs and like go to the World Series and lose. Then they suck. But when they're in it, they usually make like a good run. So I have these little like every 7 years, there's like a little blip on the radar where I'm like, oh shit, we went to the World Series or we had a good run. And then it goes back into hiding. But the Knicks, basketball was my favorite sport growing up. So the Knicks were like my pride and joy. Watched it every night, loved it. And then let's just say James Dolan's not a big fan of me. The owner of the Knicks. So yeah, I just disagree with the way he runs the team, and he may have put a T-shirt on sale that said "Fire Dolan" with a picture of his face on it.
Wow.
And
Barstool,
he takes that seriously.
We're banned from all. Like a couple girls wanted to do a show at the Beacon, I think, and they also own the Beacon Theater. Or whatever theater it was, and they were like, "You are denied. You cannot. You're a part of Barstool
because of you."
Because of I feel bad.
Wow.
But at the same time, I'm like,
feels good, right?
Yes, I do feel. I can't believe. First of all, like, bro, you are a billionaire who like owns basically the city, and you're worried about me and my little T-shirts. Like, that's crazy.
That's the same thing that Dave has with the NFL commissioner.
Yes.
Like Dave Portnoy gets kicked out of the Super Bowl, like dragged out.
Yep.
He goes in disguise and he still get his ass.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy,
dude. He New England, Tom Brady, he's like a god up there. So when they were suspending him for Deflategate, they first went down to the NFL headquarters and they protested. There was 4 of them. They sat in a circle. They all got arrested. They call themselves the Brady 4. and then they would. So then when the suspension happened, Dave was like, Roger Goodell, this is. I think he called him Hitler. He was like, crazy shit. You're a liar. You fucking, And so Goodell hates him. So then he was banned from any sort of media days and any of that shit. So he put on like a big curly mustache
and like glasses.
Yeah,
like,
they would find him though. They would find him.
You know what's the funniest gangster shit Dave ever did? Roger Goodell did a fucking fundraiser. And I guess it was like $250,000 to sit down with Roger Goodell and have dinner.
Yeah,
this motherfucker bought it.
It was open. It was like anybody. It was to watch. I think week 1. It was to watch a game in Roger Goodell's man cave basement with him, and Dave put up like $250,000 or something. And they, of course, like. They had some fine print that said like we reserve the right to take it back, and
that is gangster.
Because it was going to be 1 hour. I think it was supposed to be like streamed live. So he was like, I'm going to go in there and ask him this, that, and the other thing.
It was during the pandemic, I believe. That first 21.
Yeah. It was.
He's sick. It
was gangster. It was a gangster.
One thing I love about Dave Portnoy, he lets his fucking nuts hang like a motherfucker.
Unfortunately, literally, there's some videos floating around out there that. Federal crime, but man, he's one of a kind for sure. He's not afraid of the drama. That little rap battle we did was the funniest fucking thing ever, man. It was so, obviously corny and terrible, but it was like it was very indicative of Barstool. Like it started out as some like Twitter shit, and then I wrote a blog, and then he fired shots, and we got involved with this rapper named Tico Texas from Houston. She made a rap about us, and I was like, all right, I'm going to try to rap and make a song. He made a response. All of a sudden, it was like these lame Barstool bloggers are rapping, and I was like, damn, we can do anything, huh? We can make any sort of content.
I don't know if I want to see it.
Dude, it's hilarious.
I got a lot of respect for you, yo. There's certain things that I'm like, oh, shit.
No, it was funny. It was my ex-wife, my wife at the time, had a friend who produces music, and he made a beat for HBO, to do like when they had boxing matches to do their intro package or whatever, and they ended up not using it. And she was like, I've got this like on the scrap pile if you want to use it. Yeah. So it had a hook about knockouts and shit, and I was like, all right, let me see what I can do. And I'm sure it was terrible, but it was like a dream come true for me. Like everybody who's ever like rapped in the shower or rapping in their car, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Yo, one of the gangster shit you did was you went to Germany with Bert Kreischer?
Amsterdam.
He gave you a 24-hour notice or something?
So April, like 8 months before, Bert Kreischer, the comedian, was on my show, and we were talking about the time that Dave Chappelle just picked up and bounced, and we were saying how when he went to like Ohio and just kind of disappeared, and I was saying, man, isn't that amazing to just be able to say fuck it and go and disappear, and then that kind of evolved into like just the freedom and the money and the ability to be like, let's just hop a flight right now and go to whatever city, and let's go just right now, we're all gonna go to get dinner in Paris, and it started talking like that, and he was like, all right, let's make a pact right now that at some point in the calendar year, I'm gonna hit you guys up, 24-hour notice. You can pack like one change of clothes. That's it. Make sure your passport is up to date for this year because you never know what's gonna come. And like months go by, and he seemed really serious about it. But months go by, and I was like, I think he was probably just
Just
podcast, just talking. And all of a sudden, word comes in. He was on tour in Amsterdam, and he was like, "Come on over, fellas. Like, clock starts now." And I mean, I'm 39 now. I don't party anymore like I used to. I'm a homebody. I don't like to do that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, I got to go to Amsterdam and party with like the biggest partier on the planet, dude.
The hangover part.
Yeah. But I dug deep.
You went?
I threw hell yeah, I went. You think I'm passing up that opportunity? Fuck no. It was also Chinese New Year at the time.
Okay.
And he said, like, only thing you need to know is wear something red. And so me and my co-host took it very seriously. Rather than just put on like a red t-shirt or whatever, we went out and got like, he had a red bell-bottom pants that was like a disco outfit, and I got this red blazer and red pants, and we went out and
that's funny.
I mean, it was
How was Amsterdam?
Amsterdam is like a wild bucket list type shit, but it's like you got to be ready to do some weird and gross shit. You know what I mean?
Red light district and all that good
shit. Like we saw some things. Some things happened.
Dude, you're with Bert Kreischer. It's gonna get fucking.
It's gonna get weird. Like it's. I'm happy to have done it. I don't know if I need to go back and see some of those things and do some of those things ever again. But good on him. That was one of the most gangster things to just be like, he paid for our flights. He got us out there. He was a man of his word. Took us to like the greatest spots, great food, great. The hotel he put us up in, amazing. All of it was just true man of his word. It was really, really cool.
Kev, what do you have going on right now? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, KFC Radio is the podcast that comes out every Tuesday and Thursday.
I love your Instagram, your TikTok.
Yeah,
Instagram.
I'm on all social media. Is KFC Barstool, where I post everything, and I do the series called 1 Minute Man, where it's just 60 seconds breaking down whatever big viral news is going on or viral videos. My co-host John has a skit show called Out of Order, which is, I think, like the funniest sketch show I've seen since Dave Chappelle's show. It's unbelievable. So we are on all the video streaming, YouTube, KFC Radio, Out of Order, KFC Barstool, where we just churn content out all day, every day. So if you're into it, give it a follow and hit that subscribe button.
Yo, Kev, thanks so much for coming
Appreciate
through,
you,
man.
man.
This was like really fun, man.
Yeah, man.
Monumental moment, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I don't get to do this kind of talk much at Barstool, so I hope I didn't talk too much. I was like,
that just means you might have to bring us over to Barstool.
Yeah, man, I'd love to. We could do a little home and home. I learned a lot too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for like showing us love and stuff. Like that,
always.
Yeah,
and then when Never passed away, you were quick to reach out to me. And
man. R.I.P. Never. I never got to meet him, but I feel like when you start listening to a show regularly, you do start to feel like you know somebody.
Right.
So it's sad I never got to meet him, but I appreciate you guys continuing to do it because I'm sure it's not easy, but it's a good enough show that it deserves to keep going, and I'm sure he would have wanted it that way. So good on you guys.
Yo, KFC, thank you, man.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.